This is a compact SUV comparison episode that you can determine your favorite, which one is the best between VW Tiguan versus the new Tayron as a 7-seater versus the direct internal competitor, the Skoda Kodiaq, versus the Cupra Terramar, the recent new sibling, versus the little bit smaller Cupra Formentor, versus the Hyundai Tucson, also very successful even in Europe, versus the Ford Kuga, versus the Nissan Qashqai, versus the Honda CR-V. We're going to take a detailed look at all of these SUVs. If some are missing for you, we have more episodes with different SUVs included. This one here does have a focus on the VAG products, so from the Volkswagen Corporation, to compare the individual differences and also the other very successful SUVs, for example on the European market. As I said, we have another episode with even more SUVs, but let's focus on these here so far. Let's tune into the deals, and later on let's talk about which one would I take and which one would you take. Let's go.
Today we're taking the all-new VW Tiguan to the German Autobahn and see what is it made of. How good is the new generation? We'll find out everything about that with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go here with the front. This color here, pretty cool actually. And yeah, I tried to match the outfit once again. This is a Urinal Gray. This is the uni color. There's also a metallic gray available if you like it. And did you know that, for example, in Germany, gray is actually the most bought car color? Yeah, very interesting. Then black, white, and then the real colors. The front here, look at that, the light strip. Now here outside, then there's a light strip in the middle part to connect it. And this is also the R-Line, the sportier look. And you can see here there's this open design, a lot of high gloss black as contrast. We've just been to the car wash and there you can see that the rest of the water drops, they tend to gather here in these more complex design elements, definitely. But this gives definitely a more sporty look to the Tiguan overall. Wheels from 17 to 20 inch. And these are indeed the biggest 20-inch wheels. 19 would be standard for the R-Line, and here you can see high gloss black cladding here also for the R-Line to differentiate a little bit more to the base version. All Tiguan length here, 4.55 meters or 179 inches. Just like tiny little bit more than the previous generation. Biggest technology change is the DCC Pro. This is an upgraded adaptive suspension that's also equipped with this test vehicle here, and this has a 2-valve technology, bringing you even more comfort and sportiness at the same time, they promise. First test were running very good. Let's see how it behaves on the Autobahn here today. And there were also some remarks saying like, hey, is there like a rattling noise from the rear axle? I read something about it. I haven't noticed yet, but I'll retest it today on the German Autobahn. The side profile here, once again with the black frames in this design scheme, I think it fits very well to this gray look. So overall, a pretty sinister Tiguan here for you here today. The IQ light, you see it also here in the rear, by the way. This is the optional LED matrix in the front, and this also changes then something in the rear, that you have these layer effects here on the tail lamps. And of course, when you put in the Leah effects, yeah. I said layer effects, but Leah was thinking like the Leah effects, yeah. But it's also a Leah effect because Leah loves these turning indicators, both in the front and also in the rear, and you only get them if you have this top optional matrix LED, the IQ light. And I think the rear light signature here is pretty cool. Also, once again, this glass effect design. So design-wise, they really made it more modern. Big Tiguan lettering here in the rear, and the R-Line once again adds this special styling right here. The non-R-Line model would look then a little bit more subtle. Increase also with the boot, 650 liters now, so a couple of liters more. And it is very well usable indeed, 1.40 meters in width here between the wheel arches. And the normal length is just over 90 centimeters or 36 inches, so that's cool. And then you can fold the seats easily from here and here. The only thing you can see when the co-driver's seat is a little bit too far back because Leah has been relaxing, then you need to put it a little bit forward like this. And there you can see it also has this fixation that it actually stays in place. Underneath here, by the way, there would still be space for a spare tire. There we go. Mickey Mouse, anyone? It's totally Mickey Mouse, isn't it? And then you can also get a full power socket here in the trunk. And Leah now shows us this adaptive towing hook. There we go. Interesting mechanism. It's like semi-automatic. There we go. So you have to put it there in place. And then when you press it once again, yeah, sometimes you make your hands a little bit dirty. There we go. And then you can push it back. Key fob, high gloss black. Not my favorite one, I have to say. Door closing sound. It is very nice. Front. Let's see how it is in the rear. Both really nice. That I really like. Inside of the doors. Soft touch here on the top part. Even softer here. Also for your elbow. Then you have this new high gloss black insert. It's also illuminated actually. And then here, this is a little bit distracting for the camera. Here, this is really nice. The totally covered door pockets, and we have that sometimes in 120,000 euro cars, and it's not the case anymore. So well done here. Then R-line steering wheel, perforation at the side, real button still on the steering wheel. That's real lovely here. Left side for the cruise control, volume, right side to control the digital instruments. Switch gear is right here. Drive forward, reverse like this. And the seats, in this case, animal skin. They do not offer alternatives to animal skin in the high trims here, unlike with the ID models. That has to be highly criticized indeed. Volkswagen has to be consistent also, because I mean, it's like, oh, when you buy a combustion engine, then you don't care about animals? It's like, there are people who buy combustion engines and still like animals and have dogs and stuff. So yeah, I don't get it. But you can also get nice fabric and microfiber seats actually for the Tiguan, so at least that. Then steering wheel up and down, in and out, and so on. And what I found also very interesting, here you see the R-Line entry badge, and like this area here actually remained clean and relatively dry. This was from cleaning here, back cleaning now. So this area here was dry because you can see the door sill is quite low. So this was a good finding then after the car wash, that the most relevant parts here on the inside remained relatively dry after the car wash. With 189, 6'2", there's still enough headroom left here. Ergonomics of the seat, however, are good. Upright, good seating position, and it's a compact feeling here. So it's not too large, but it's not too small. That's the key secret to the Tiguan, why it is one of the best sellers in the compact SUV segment. New cockpit here, a lot of high gloss black. With the R-Line you also have this illumination on the background, otherwise it would also be just a black plain field. Then here leather red with a blue contrast. This is also very nicely done. Then you either get 13-inch screen, or here this optional 15-inch. This is the larger one actually, and this is like, wow, in your face, so large indeed. But the good thing about this is, because you might say, hey, isn't it distracting when the screen is even larger? On the one hand, maybe yes. On the other hand, I say no. Oh, Leah also shakes her head. She loves it when the display is super large in the vehicle, actually. Because I found that here, the icons, for example, here in the Apple CarPlay integration, which also works wirelessly, by the way, and Android Auto as well, the icons are bigger, so you can not miss anything, you know. Also here, when you deactivate the speed warning for the EU theme here, is easily done. You also can click here in the middle, not only here. And they've massively upgraded the software now, so it's quicker now, it's more reliable, and it's larger in the screen. So I'm actually happy with the infotainment system now. There's still better software and hardware out there, yes, but it's not that, for example, with the like pre-facelift Golf and so on, Leon, Octavia, all pre-facelift, it was just horrible with the software at VW, and now it's definitely better. Sliders here are illuminated at night, and you can slide for the temperature. At least it's better that you can do it here. Otherwise, you could also do it here inside the screen. That's also possible. Then the middle console is quite interesting. Here you have space above, and underneath there's inductive charging pad. You see here 14 Pro, 14 Pro Max, the iPhones, and they both charge, and they're also both cooled here with cooling holes so they don't overheat. 2 USB-C charging is also possible. And then in the middle console here, high gloss black. This will look ugly quite quickly, sadly. Start, stop, and engine right here. And then you have this multi-mode button here, for example, for the volume. But you can also press it, and then you can, for example, here select the driving mode. So that's actually a good idea that you don't have to do that once again in the screen only. Digital instruments. Very good to read. I like this central view, but you can of course also change the views, whatever you want to have. The head-up display here, I put it to snow mode because I just like it when the number is blue. Snow, of course, when you have a white background, you can still see the blue number. Cup holders are adaptive, but you could also take out that whole the whole thing, yeah, of course, this remains in there, why not? Then you put this one up, you have more separators, for example, for all your clutter and so on. And here underneath, there's like, you know, like for a parking card or something and for coins. So like, yeah, or this say for like a park clock. Do you call it park clock also? The famous German Parkuhr. Listen and repeat. Parkuhr is like... How do you call this actually in Britain, for example? This is the famous Ankunftszeit. Like you set it to the time you arrive, and then it's always like 30 minutes ahead you can actually set it to. So the famous German Parkuhr, geeicht. So this has to be that, or if you put something else in there which is not like this very original, you directly go to jail. Yeah, if it would have a different color, directly go to jail in Germany. Definitely, yeah. And then this whole armrest here is well attached and also soft enough for the elbow. You can also slide it forward and upward because only by that it actually fits here for the elbow if you want to drive in a very relaxed manner. Panoramic roof. On the Pro side, it goes all the way across the vehicle, and also you can open it for rear. So this is one of the rare panoramic roofs left, which you can really open like that. Wow, it leaves a lot of air in this. That's pretty nice. And you can also apply a shade. The only thing is that here in the front, you have these sliders, and especially while driving, you sometimes, maybe not slide well enough, and then this is the thing here. Sometimes the car complains, says like the vehicle key is not in the vehicle. And Leah had it once on the Autobahn that while driving, the car was saying the key is not in the vehicle and suddenly applied the brake. That's a huge problem. And I'll also report that to VW, and the engineers definitely need to work on that. So now the shade is closed. But of course, we need it open actually to have some more light on the interior, because I also want to show you something from the rear. And so with 189, 6'2", still have some space here above my head. And this is the seat as I would be driving, still enough legroom. Remember, it's not a very long car, so good usage of space. 2 USB-C chargers here, next to a real climate unit. And seat heating would be activated if the engine is actually properly running. Hard pack though at the inside of the doors. Optional Harman Kardon sound system. But there's a felt covering also at the rear of the back doors. Recently had the BMW 5 Series, for example, which did not have any felt covering at the inside of the doors at all. So I'm really happy to have it right here. Then the seats, which is cool. You can slide it forward here, 2/3, 1/3, like this, to have more trunk. Or more legroom, you can decide that. And then pull these straps here to change the angle of the back seat like this. Isofix, what was it on the... Yeah, Isofix both on the front seat and also the outer parts of the rear seats, because the Tiguan is also often used, of course, when you have a family or with children and so on. So there we go, cup holders. It's a little bit weird function, but I mean, it works kind of. There we go. I think when we were in the studio the first time, I couldn't even get it out properly because this was a prototype vehicle. But there you can see sometimes, when we have some functions that don't work. This is like a meme among car journalists. And then the manufacturers say, it's all like a prototype, or it's all like a pre-production vehicle, And sometimes it's true and it gets better, like this. This works now properly. But sometimes they just claim it, and it's like, I remember the Jaguar XE. There was like the trunk release from below. It was like a cable and it was fixed with tape underneath. And then they say, it's all pre-production. And then 5 years later, I rechecked the vehicle and it was still the same. Yeah. So it can be like this or like that, something like this or like that. Then ski hatch here in the middle. Then you can also load this one here through. So overall, the comfort and all the features here on the rear seat, very convincing. And on the rear windows, Leah shows us here. We finally know why the Tiguan is called Tiguan. This is the Tiger. On the other side is the Iguana. So Tiger plus Iguana is Tiguan. I'm not sure if the vehicle really looks like a tiger or like a iguana, but you can see from the outside, you can see it only when you hold the hand from the inside, then you can see the shade, but it's better visible from the inside, definitely. Engine lineup. This is here the 2-liter TDI, just under 8 seconds in the acceleration figure in the 193 horsepower trim, all-wheel drive. Also other horsepower specs are available. And then you can get a 1.5 TSI turbo petrol engine. or a 2-liter TSI turbo petrol engine, so 2 different strengths and horsepower outputs are available. Exact numbers you'll also find in the pinned comment or in the video description. And most important upgrade is the 1.5 TSI plug-in hybrid. Now with way bigger battery, 20 kWh net, and realistic like 80 kilometers, 50 miles of pure electric range. This is a massive upgrade indeed. And yeah, you always have then the DSG, the dual clutch transmission, automatic. Autobahn, sport mode. Oh, that's 160 kilometers an hour. So this is here the 2-liter TDI for the all-new Volkswagen Tiguan. 193 horsepower, 7.7 is the acceleration figure, 7.7 seconds to 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour. And yeah, definitely more than enough. One of the more powerful engines here available for the Tiguan. I mean, it has a certain size, so I would also recommend not to go for a very underpowered engine, because then you're always running it at very high RPM and so on. So this one here is definitely suitable enough. And of course the big advantage for the diesel is that it has enough power and torque, so especially when you need it here on the Autobahn. At the same time, especially if you use it on the motorway, it has quite a good fuel economy. So we're here long term at 6.5 liters on 100 kilometers. And that is somewhat okay, definitely. I mean, it's an SUV, yes. So recently in the Skoda Octavia, for example, we had the same diesel engine and we could score some 4 liters on 100 kilometers. Yeah, so at some point, this building style, which pushes against the wind, has its costs, but it's way more aerodynamic than before, actually. It's 6.5 liters on 100 kilometers, by the way, is about 45 mpg US, 55 mpg UK, just for comparison. But I think that's overall quite good average. If we're here in the sport mode, by the way, the shifting also goes to sport, so the RPMs are always a little bit higher. And also the DCC changes if you have that option, DCC, the dynamic chassis control, that's the adaptive suspension. I can also show you more about that. First of all, I want to show you, I can select the driving mode in several ways. I can press here this lower button, for example, and then also select it while driving from below. That's good that I don't have to do it in the touchscreen, just depending on what you prefer, because they have also easily put it here in a hotkey down there. So if you're somewhere else in the main menu, you just have to press up here and then you can more or less easily pick that, because the screen here, especially the bigger one, is now so large that you can easily also pick that in the screen while driving. Is definitely easier than before. And this DCC you can also set to the individual mode. It's not too complicated actually. Here you can, for example, set it all the way to comfort and then the steering to sport, which is sometimes my favorite, because here in the lower degree angle in the comfort mode there's not too much reaction from the steering. Overall it's fine, but you can also tune it here to the sport level, and then you have a little bit more feedback in the steering. But still then, here this is more for running straight. There's not too much feeling here, and then it gets more feeling to the side. And now the guys behind me probably say like, what the hell is this guy doing? So yeah, that's a catch actually a little bit. So that could be a little bit better with the steering, but I'm overall still happy with it. And also this DCC Pro is the new upgraded dynamic chassis control, does a good job. So considering you have 20-inch wheels mounted here, so the biggest wheels that are available, is still a very good comfort. Also when we have these waves here on the motorway, very well evened out, so you don't miss an air suspension for that. If you want more comfort, stick with smaller wheels. Then you can also vary that a little bit. With the 20-inch wheels you have a somewhat sportier ride. Here noise insulation at 100 kilometers an hour is, I would say, okay. We do have competitors from the premium brands which are more silent, I would say. If we compare like a BMW X1, for example, I feel that it's more silent here than the VW Tiguan. And I mean, here the price, yeah, you can easily compare it to premium competitors. When we come at the end of the review to our pricing section, you might be surprised what you meanwhile have to pay for a VW Tiguan. So as we talk about like little like sporty features, let's do a lane change, and it's always good to do that, of course. And here, when you have the sporty DCC mode to compare, for example, and also the taxi driver behind me is probably getting nervous and wants to drive 2 meters in front of me. So to the right, I see here it doesn't shake up at all. Really nice. We go back. Yeah, that's actually very decent. So, and if you go to the more comfortable mode here, you do feel it actually also in the lane changes. But the good thing about the DCC is it always rules in this certain spectrum. So, thank you, Leah. Not sure what was like this. What did it say? Like always pay attention or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, these things are always, I feel, more distracting than they would add to safety or something, you know. So, yeah, back to the DCC. So even if you have it in the most comfortable setting, it rules between comfort and sportiness in a certain spectrum. And even if you're in a sporty setting, it also rules between comfort and sportiness. It's just a different preset, and both will be fine while driving. So if you ask me between the difference of the previous generation and this generation, this time here with the German Autobahn focus, initial review was more like rural driving in France. It was in southern France, yeah, indeed. Thank you. Yeah, it was in southern France. No, it was in southern France. I think. Yeah, you know, sometimes we get mixed with with so many driving reviews. Definitely. So this time here, as we have it in Germany, wanted to pay more attention to the German Autobahn, German motorway, and this also one of the things you feel. It has always been a very nice compact SUV, definitely. But this one here, in this new generation, feels even more refined, I would say. Please pay attention to the road. But maybe because I'm sometimes looking at the camera or something at you guys, maybe that's it or something. Yeah, the view of the DCC is always nice to see for sure. So yeah, so I'm really happy with the motorway driving. The only thing I noticed, because we drove the Passat and the Tiguan the very same day, is that the new Passat is even better. And yeah, that's always the discussion between SUV and Turnback SUV or estate and something. And yeah, in that case, you have to say like the low building style has even more advantages for comfort. But for an SUV here, good in comfort. Gonna go for another acceleration right here. Really nice. The diesel also has power reserves if you're already at speed. And there we go. Now the wind noise is picking up, but for that speed it's still somewhat okay. Not the best in the noise insulation, but still good. Also has this, special insulation back here, high trim level. That was almost 190 kilometers an hour. Yeah, and also good feeling for the brake overall, I think. And the good thing about the diesel is here, when you are at higher speeds, then the consumption is not so much higher than at lower speeds. More in the city maybe you get the problem, whereas the petrol engine, especially if you go for a smaller one, will exceed the consumption figures even more, especially at higher speeds. Then yeah, that's the thing. Here, by the way, when we are at higher speeds, do a lane change in comfort mode, it's still okay. It doesn't shake up too much. Now the taxi driver, we let him overtake, and he's getting more angry. So there we go. Yeah. Overall, a very nice feeling here in the Tiguan. Gives you also a safe, compact feeling. So since it's not too long, you always have a very good feeling for that vehicle. It has, let's say, the right size that you can do everything in the city. At the same time, it's comfortable enough here on the German Autobahn. By the way, if I didn't mention yet, the maximum towing capacity is 2.3 tons. The all-wheel drive diesel would be a very good example for that, for this maximum towing capacity. Pricing, very interesting. Hold on tight, guys. So it starts around 35,000 euros, 35,000 pounds, roundabout, with a very base entry model, front-wheel drive, 1.5 TSI. But then if you go to the TDI, for example, or the plug-in hybrids, or here is for the R-Line, of course, is more expensive than, and so on. More bells and whistles. This car here, as it stands right now, it's a Volkswagen Tiguan. It's not a Bentley Bentayga. This car here is in the German price list here for 70,000 euros. I've never seen a Tiguan for 70,000 euros. Here it is. And yeah, maybe you can rather buy a plane for that. So if you now compare it to a BMW X1 or like Audi Q3, Mercedes GLA, you can easily compare it to it because they are in the very same price region now. That's a tough pill to swallow for today. Other than that, driving is really nice here with the DCC Pro and so on. And I think the looks is also pretty cool here, especially in the new R line. It's also way more aerodynamic than before. So this will, of course, make the consumption better. We've seen it. It was also quite okay from the diesel. The only thing is here, due to the new aerodynamics, because it has this more fluent form, yes, aerodynamics have massively improved. But on the same side, before, the previous generation was a little more angular and looked to me a little bit stronger. So definitely always pro and con with the new products, but it's very, very interesting ride for sure. What do you think about the new Tiguan? Tell me in the comments. The most important Volkswagen model for the years to come will not be an all-electric one. It will be this one with a worldwide significance for the brand and also for the customers, because this is here the new VW Tayron. It's a successor of the Tiguan Allspace, so to speak, a long wheelbase Tiguan. And that means this is also the upcoming US Tiguan in the new generation, so for the Northern American market. So no matter from where you're watching, this will be very relevant for you and also for the VW brand. And everything you need to know about this vehicle here with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with this front, which always features the illuminated logo from the base light unit. In this case here, we also have the light strip going here all the way to the main headlamps, and they have the logic of base LED, then LED plus matrix LED, and on top of that the HD matrix LED for even more high beam performance, and this can even project like a light carpet on the road. And then it also comes with cascading turning indicators, both in the front and also in the rear. From the front, it does resemble the current new Tiguan that is already in sale in Europe. However, it looks a little bit bolder here in the lower area, and this is also, even more so in this version, the R line. That's the badge, and then we have this grid here in all the way high gloss black, even more aggressive. You could even pop up a black package on top of that for black mirror caps and so on if you want to have it even more sinister in the styling, so to speak. And the US Tiguan, the new one, will look the same, of course, then depending on which styling package you use on the exterior. Said that this one is the successor of the Tiguan Allspace. They gave it a new name. Length is now 4.77 meters or 188 inches. And that means if you compare the EU Tiguan, it is 22 centimeters or 9 inches longer, and 11 centimeters or about 4 inches went into the wheelbase. So this is, so to speak, the long wheelbase Tiguan. And that's also the reason they use this one here basically as the US Tiguan, because on the US market the cars are in general bigger. And from the front it's all the way the same. The US Tiguan will be a little bit different here in this side silhouette. It will have like a slightly falling side silhouette. And of course, as soon as we can deliver that to you, we'll also do it. But most of the things will be more or less similar. Wheels from 17 to 20 inch. 18 inch would be standard with the Elegance, 19 inch with the R-Line. These ones here are the biggest 20 inch wheels. By the way, also interesting, it looks like the vehicle has a massive ground clearance here, but it's more the design, because you have this cut out. In the Tiguan it looks a little bit more like this, so it looks like more space, but it's only higher if you compare the front wheel drive Tiguan. And all-wheel drive Tiguan, for example, or the plug-in hybrid Tiguan has the same height here actually than the Tayron. And the R-Line also adds here the shiny black crossover wheel arches, so otherwise they would be in this standard black trim. Overall it does look kind of like the Tiguan, but you see this stretch here, especially here in the doors, and also this, this curve here, special design, and reminds us also of the ID models. But as I said, this is here a combustion engine model. Soon more to the engines with petrol, mild hybrid, diesel, and also plug-in hybrids. And all-wheel drive will also be possible, front-wheel driven platform, so front plus rear on demand. And the all-wheel drive models will feature a maximum of 2.5 tons of towing capacity. In the rear, I think pretty coolly with the light signatures, also the red illuminated VW logo in the rear. That's even allowed in Europe now. For decades before that, these playing with light was allowed in the US or Northern American market, but not really in Europe. Now it is also. And also 3-dimension here, also this design and for the tail lamps with the light strip going all the way through. And once again, the cascading turning indicators. The R-Line features this black grid here, closed one in the rear. The elegance version would be the other top trim. However, you also have a base life trim, so to speak, also depending on the market, if you don't want so much fancy stuff. And also important, you always get optional the DCC, the adaptive suspension, which is now the DCC Pro. It's a 2-valve system, evolution of the dynamic chassis control, and that means you can basically separately rule when dampers go in and out, promising more comfort and sportiness at the same time. And here in the shadows, we can even see better how the whole light signature thing looks in the rear, also with the cascading turning indicators. Pretty cool, right? And you've already seen it probably here, the Autogefühl fake exhaust t-shirt. You can get it now in our shop. Follow the video description. Also under the video, it's embedded actually. And we were successful actually with your help and the Autogefühl fake exhaust police. No fake exhaust here, even in the R-Line. So definitely a great success for the Autogefühl fake exhaust police. Copyright. And here is a contrast. This is here the elegance trim, and it's really way different from the R-Line. Also in this purple color, but this is not related. But here, this one here. So this area here looks completely different than in the R-Line. So I feel really a more elegant look, as the trim level also says. Which one would you go for? Here the elegance or rather the sporty R-Line? Tell me in the comments. Under the hood we have a gas struts. That's cool to hold it open. Then we have 1.5 TSI MHEV petrol side. Then we have a 2-liter TSI, higher horsepower specs up to 265 horsepower. Then always with all-wheel drive, different front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive specs. So front plus rear on demand. And also the 2-liter TDI. Plug-in hybrid based on the 1.5 TSI, this one with 20 kilowatt hours net battery, so actually up to like 80-90 kilometers or like 50 up to 60 miles of real-world electric pure EV range. And you can check out the different data specs, of course with our inserts, but also in the video description or also in the separate comment. Key, high gloss black, yeah, that's the same like for most of the models at this moment. Then the door closing sound. That's very solid. Nice, right? Oh, by the way, have you seen here? It's also here including the rear wheel arches. Very interesting. And also here, look at that, how deep this one goes, so that the inside of the doors are still clean then, when there's like dirt and so on. Pretty interesting. Then here on the top part, there's like this, I would say leatherette style cover. Then with the R-Line you have here this special deco element and the microfiber with the blue contrast element, soft for your elbow in leatherette, and also fabric on the inside of the doors. That's good. And also here, sorry Leah, this one, yeah, you know, I'm this detail guy here, left and right, classic control of the side mirrors. Then we have the R-Line entry badge. You can also get different trims, of course. This one with a perforated steering wheel at the side. Here, no animal skin alternative so far, but still real buttons on the steering wheel. Soon more to that. The R-Line also features this seat here with fabric on the inside and some microfiber on the outside. Also an ergo active seat. The elegance would also come with something similar, but not that sporty in the styling, or a base fabric seat is also available. I guess that the US versions of the Tiguan will also really receive some full leatherette options, I think. Then here, there's a manual seat on the one hand. We have this electric lumbar support, however, but front and back is also manual, and steering control in and out, up and down, also manual. The switch gear is here on the right side, this separate right column, but it's actually, yeah, Leah really likes that. It's easy to control, like we also know from the ID models. With 189, 6'2", some headroom left, although this one is the one with the panoramic roof. You can also get one without, then it would be a little bit more headroom. And although these seats here look pretty sporty, also with the integrated head restraint, they're really comfortable, so I like them. Good seating comfort indeed. And ISOFIX, by the way, also here on the passenger seat in the front. That might also be relevant for you. In the R-Line we have more microfiber here at the dashboard, for example. Glove box is also properly dampened. I like that. Oh, by the way, on the other side I have a There's like this small cubby hole here on the left side, but this is not dampened. Then this middle console. In the front you have this pad. You fold it up. Underneath 2 inductive charging pads, and they are both cooled. Hats off to that. And 2 USB-C chargers. Then I can also activate here the ignition. Then you have this multi-mode button. You use it for the Lautstärke. Listen and repeat. Lautstärke. That's the volume in German. And you press it then, and then you can switch through. That's the thing, right? Switch through. Switch through. Switch through. Switch through. The different driving modes. So that's a good thing. They can also control the driving modes from there and not have to do it in the screen. Then here you have adaptive cup holders, but you can also put that out and have just a bigger space if you would prefer that actually. Then you fold this one up, more space underneath with sorry, Leah still up there. Here there's like
very important,
very German or even Skoda-esque decision here for coins and for like a parking card or something. And then deep down there, deep down below here you can see there are these splitters. You can even adapt them from bigger or just take them off completely.
Can you put the cup holders?
Yeah, I think so. So we move them here and we can actually, that should, yeah, that's possible. So I mean, in this case you probably would leave that open, right? And then you can put this one here.
Maybe for one.
I don't know if that's making more sense than the other way around. I don't know. What do you think? Driver POV here. Real buttons at the steering wheel like that, also for the volume control. Right side then to control something of the digital instruments. You can go for different stylings there, but I would prefer the classic look, I would say. Then here the head-up display is just flickering on camera, and it's also larger than it appears on camera. And the main screen, either 13-inch, a little bit smaller, or this one here, 15-inch. It looks a little bit attached, yes. That's the thing. But it's really large, very well visible. Also here the main menu like this. And it's also quicker and so far also more reliable than systems we have seen before. It's like in the new ID models, like in the ID7 or so on. Here the speed limit easily deactivated. Then here also the drive mode selector. And you can also set your individual mode for your DCC, like here. Can rule it from soft to sport and so on. So this looks more promising. The climate unit is either with the slider here in the lower part, or you click on it and then you can also change the temperature there. And the R-Line has the deco element right here with ambient lighting. Otherwise it would be a black panel. And now exclusively presented by Leah, the inside handles. Yes, we still have them. And we want to point it out because manufacturers often save that nowadays, so they remove them. Here they are still available. For example, if your spouse would be driving a little bit quicker and more dynamic, which would never happen here, right? By the way, also here, even for the rear seats, so 4 handles overall, and Leah really appreciates that. I have no idea why. Rear seats now, really exciting. First of all, this is here hard pack on the top part, but we have a nice shade that also goes pretty wide. That's cool. Then microfiber in the R-Line, and also felt on the inside of the door pockets for the rear seats. That's good. It also, it doesn't open 90 degrees, but I would say enough. And then we have ISOFIX here on the outside seats. Let's see if we also get them on the third seating row soon. Then we can move them here forward, really way forward. Look at that, like the huge difference between the two positions, and all the way back. This is then where you can either fold them completely down, or you can also change the inclination. Middle part here, whoa, that wasn't fixed. So middle part here with this armrests, also plush. Another red, and then you pull this one here out. You have cup holders. That looks funny, doesn't it? Here, like a smartphone holder. And I heard that you can also change. There it is. You see here. You can also move it a little bit, like then you have more space on the one side or the other side, or when you put your smartphone here to watch things. However, when you put the smartphone or tablet here and you look down a little bit, maybe not the best idea overall, but yeah, good flexible solutions. You also have a climate unit here, temperature and also seat heating. When the car is running, then you also have seat heating in the rear, USB-C chargers. Still a mentionable middle tunnel. And then you have a little bit more legroom than in the Tiguan. And here, these are the very voluminous R-line seats, however, but still some legroom left. With the base seats, it would be even a little bit more. And headroom with 189, 6 for 2. And here, yeah, some headroom left, although this is also the one with the panoramic roof. You can actually also open with this slider. So there we go. This is the shade first. So when it's really, really hot, it's good to have that. Takes a while, but I mean, see, it's like going all the way over the vehicle. During that, I can also show you the inclination here, more backward, like in this more sleeping position. It's a very nice and comfy rear seating experience here. Definitely, yeah, probably for best comfort, you would do it like this, like that. And also this other 2/3 here, you can slide forward, and there you can see again the huge difference here. It would go even further, but I can't even move so far in the front. And this panoramic roof, we can also open. From the rear, you can actually even better enjoy that because you can see then through the whole length. There we go, and see the opening, if you really open it, is actually also quite wide. But then even more interesting is, what about that third seating row? So for that, we have on both sides here actually separate buttons or levers. There we go. For this one, then we can slide it forward. This is then the access, and you see here, yeah, there is no isofix. So this would be then this, I would say, yeah, children cannot be too small, but shouldn't be too tall. And then something in between. But now the question is, when I move this seat bench to where I could still be seating, let's see, and then I come around now to Leah's side. So this is always the Thomas 7-seater workout. First of all, this access here. Let's see. Yeah, that works. Yeah, it's kind of narrow. And you see, this is even moved forward already. So it's not the seat bench I was sitting in before with all the way back. But that way, I mean, I could squeeze myself in here, but yeah, it's really nothing for tall adults. Not like me. Yeah, that's funny, right? Yeah, Leah has her fun. You too. And you see here, this one is all the way moved, or was all the way moved back. But to do that, you would actually need to slide like this and then pull the lever and then move it back again. Maybe Leah can do that. If you pull this lower lever there and then move it back, now underneath the seat in the front. There we go. Yeah, so that's even more backward, but yeah. So that's of course then even less space, but this also depends on the inclination here. So maybe if this would be a little... Now I'm totally trapped in here. Yeah, but you can free yourself. Actually, you can... Oh no. Leah forgot me. So, but here I can actually push both forward, so I can actually exit to both sides independently. So at least this still works. But yeah, definitely nothing for tall adults. But it's still nice, of course, to have this, flexibility and option. Let's check out the trunk or the boot. It's 850 liters for the 7-seater version, a little bit more than for the 5-seater version, or if you have the US Tiguan, and less if you have the plug-in hybrid. So I'm going to show you here the cabin controller also fits in vertically. This is at the moment with all the seats up, and the width this here like 1.40 meters, but you can see it's wider here for the entry. So that's already quite good. Then the height here is some 73 centimeters, 29 inches. And now the fun begins. First of all, here underneath, if you have a combustion engine version, there's here a little bit more space. You can here store the cover of the trunk in there. If you use it in the 5-seater setup, it's also a good clean storage solution. There's also a replacement tire underneath. Again, if you have the plug-in hybrid version, this will not be possible in that way. And now here, the last seating row, either I can pull it like this is possible, easier, or this strap here actually is more to pull it back again. So here, begin like this, or like this, you put it up again. So in this case, goes down that way. And then this would be then the 5-seater setup. The trunk length then here is it's like 115 or 45 inches. This would also then be the US Tiguan setup, or if you have the plug-in hybrid, again, also 5-seater. Then you can pull these here for the second seating row, like this.
Nice, yeah.
It's cool, right? There we go. And now maybe you can see that here, there's this strap here. Like, you see this strap here? Like here, this strap here? Yeah, now watch it. When I'm here pulling this one here again, there you can see the mechanism. This is funny, right? So this is how it works. It's just a manual thing, basically. To put the seats all the way down, by the way, you have to go around and then push them in. Then they are fixed. The only but for this is to put them up again. Then you have to unleash them once again. And here, of course, the very length to the seat as I would be driving. It's the last important measurement here. And I mean, this is really spacious. And this is basically 2 meters or 78, 79 inches. That's pretty cool. Last but not least, we have also a towing hook here.
Wait.
Pushing this, and then there we go, semi-automatic, like this. And also back again. And there's also like a trailer assist that you can easily maneuver that around. So very, very versatile. That's cool. Then here, the cover like this. You press it, you can remove it like that, then it looks like this, and then again you can remove it with pressing it left and right. There we go. You have to see that you don't damage anything. Like this. Then you move this one up, and also once again playing Tetris a little bit. Yeah, probably like this. There we go. And hidden. And this is how it looks like, first of all, in the pure 5-seater setup, like this, so there's nothing to fold out. And this specifically here, the plug-in hybrid, then you do have some space here underneath for the charging cables. However, then the next step here would be nothing, because then you have the fuel tank here, because the battery is there where the fuel tank usually is. Whereas the EU Tiguan and also here the Tayron is built in Wolfsburg, Germany, the US Tiguan, which will be almost like the Tayron we have here, will be built in Mexico then for the Northern American market. I would like to know from you guys, would you rather pick the Tayron or the Skoda Kodiaq? The Skoda Kodiaq has been known for being a good price performance family SUV. Here it is now in the new generation, and we will drive it for you today and tell you how good is it, and also how does it compare to the sibling, the VW Tiguan, that was recently also launched in the new generation. With Thomas in Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the front. The all-new Kodiaq is really bold in the front. This is also the Sport line, exclusively for you here today. Then there is the black frame around the grille. Otherwise, you have a bright frame around the grille. And this color here is called Race Blue. Yes, my favorite color. That's what we call Thomas Blue here, also on Autogefühl. Yes, these t-shirts will soon be available in our merch section. We are preparing that for you at this moment. Then in the lower part here, this honeycomb style. So overall very cool styling. Headlamps with a nice daytime running light, so-called Skoda crystal lighting. This is the matrix LED you can also get. The length, 4.76 meters or 187 inches. Just grown a little bit in length. But this one here is actually significantly longer than the VW Tiguan, about 22 centimeters. Then you can see these crossover wheel arches. These are 19-inch wheels. 19 inch is standard with the Sport line that also has this badge right here. You can even go up to 20-inch wheels. And also the Sport line has a blacked out, it's a kind of D-pillar or the last pillar here at the back part. Otherwise, this is also in a bright design scheme. It's more form for this function. This vehicle is about space on the interior. And on the rear, once again with the Sport line, a blacked out Skoda lettering, really large here now in this new generation. And also more a functional design. I think it's a good approach because we will have a lot of space on the interior. On the technology side, very important. Here with the Sport line, you already get a sportier suspension. But optional, for all the versions, you can get the DCC, now called DCC Plus Volkswagen calls it DCT Pro. They call it DCT Plus, but it's the same technology. Now a 2-valve technology for the adaptive suspension, the dynamic chassis control. And that one actually promises more comfort and more sportiness at the same time. Is that true? We will test it in the driving part for you today. Turning indicators, wow, they look amazing here, already in the front right. I like that new styling. What about you? And by the way, you can hardly see it from this angle, but when you go a little bit lower, then you can see you can also get an illumination in the front grille for the new Kodiaq. It's kind of split, I would say, but yeah, a nice element at night. And in the rear, you also have these cascading turning indicators or hazard lights if you have this matrix LED option. And yeah, you have seen that correctly. The rear light is just at the outside parts. This middle part then here is, yeah, it's just a like physical graphic, let's say it that way. It's no light behind it or something. And now Leah is showing us one of the most famous features in the Skoda, the Rolls-Royce-alike feature. There we go, there it is hidden, the famous Skoda umbrella. There we go. And with a button you can actually open it. Yeah, it can also be a sunshade, and when you press the button again, then it closes. I did that wrong last time. Yeah, against wind it's not that resistant, but the opening and closing function is actually quite good. Yeah, and it always takes time, of course, to put it back in place again there. Key fob, high gloss black. I don't like it that much, and this is also one of the reasons why I don't like it. It just collects these scratches so easily, actually. Then here, door closing sound. Very solid. And you also hear that this mechanism is also sounding a little bit. Here, this door sill protector. It's a very nice and easy system, so you don't get scratches in the parking lot and so on. It's not only available for the front, but also for the rear. Look at that. Here we go. Yeah, that's, I think, a very cool idea, isn't it? Then, inside of the doors, a soft touch here on the top part, also with a nice structure. I like the build quality. And the Sportline here has these sporty inlet here. You can really feel that. It's also a real structure you can also feel. So that looks and feels really nice. Microfiber then inserts here for the Sportline, here with these contrast stitches. Then you have these Skoda features like the small trash bin. You can get it on both sides, and also felt on the inside is a really thick felt covering as well. Then new Kodiaq here, new generation with new steering wheel. You still have rear interface at the steering wheel here, for example, for the volume jog. One click button for the heated steering wheel. I like that. Unfortunately, they don't offer any animal skin alternative for the steering wheel yet here. But for the seats, there are a lot of alternatives available. Base fabric seats or also microfiber seats. For example, also in the sporty version here in the Sportline, which is really special here with these holes opening a little bit more. Yeah, it's a kind of big perforation, I would call it. And especially the shoulder accentuation here. And this is microfiber and leatherette. So this is actually a very nice choice here for the Sportline and here today. And the comfort in these seats is really very good. So headroom, plenty left with 189, a 6'2", and they really give good shoulder support here, nice and soft from the microfiber, all electric control here, by the way, so I'm really happy with the comfort. Steering wheel here then in the manual control, up and down, in and out. And a very special feature here for the Kodiaq is this split glove box. Here there's actually I wanted to start with the other one. This is now very bad in the storytelling. Let's just pretend that this didn't happen. You have not seen anything. So there is the normal glove box in the lower part. And now comes the big surprise. There it is with the second top one. Okay, we don't edit it out. It's maybe a little bit funny as well. Yeah, and also here in the Sportline, we have the microfiber covering of that one here with the contrast stitching. So that's a very cool idea. And once again, this inlet we've seen at the inside of the doors. The soft touch dashboard on top here with structure. This is the 13-inch screen. Is an option. You would start with 10-inch, so a little bit smaller if you just prefer it a little bit smaller. You know, some prefer it smaller, some prefer it bigger. You know, that's the thing. And here, smart dial setup. That's what I want to show you directly. You can pick 4 different functions for these lower dials in the middle part. Like here, for example, the fan speed. Click it one more time. Click it. There we go. Here, then is the volume selection. One more time, this then for the DCC selection, for the driving modes. So you can have that all in one dial in the lower part. And that's, I think, a very nice, fresh solution. So you can keep the rather conservative layout we know already, we're used to, at the same time make it a little bit more digitalized and individualize this thing. And I especially appreciate here the manual climate unit. That's cool to have it here. And also here is the push feature. We have seen it with Range Rover first, I think, here than for the seat heating, for example. So that's a cool idea. Also, when you have set the other temperature in a different way, then you can here hold to sync left and right. Digital instruments are also customizable, whatever you want to see. So the fuel info, map, and also these gauges. But I here also rather prefer this classic look. Yeah, probably like this. And you can get a head-up display in the windshield. This is also the snow mode, then the numbers are blue. Middle console, also microfiber styling here in the Sportline. You can slide this one forward or backward, open it, more space underneath. And then these two here in the front, you can also slide open, two USB-C chargers there, but you can also have two inductive chargers. They both work indeed. And you see here that also fits with an iPhone 14 Pro Max. Why do the girls always have the big smartphones and the boys have the smaller smartphones? Why is that? Can you tell me? I don't know, yeah. Then here, let's slide these ones open. And here you have cup holders. They're really small, I have to say, and more space right here. When you use the climate unit, you also have this overlay then here in the infotainment system. More to that also while driving. They have really upgraded the software, so it's quicker to select now. Here you can select in the screen, but you can also use the dial then from below. So both is actually possible, and assistant systems control is either here or also in the instruments there. You can also quickly access it. And you also have this large integration of Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, both wired or wireless, how you choose it. Now it gets really exciting. First of all, the Kodiaq is available as 5-seater or as 7-seater. Today we have the 7-seater, soon going to show you. First of all, let's start with the second row. Here we have these sunshades you can get. They go also very wide, it's a very good idea then. Also the inside of the rear doors is, let's see. This is hardpack now. It's structured but hardpack, so not soft touch here like in the front, but we have the nice microfiber inserts here in the Sport, and also this structured insert, then this design decor element. And the doors at the rear are also not felt covered, so that's maybe a little bit disappointing. Then we have so many features here. First of all, this strap here to change the angle of the back part, like this, so more laying back or more upright, both is possible. Then you can slide the bench forward or backward. So this is like a 1/3, 2/3 split. Then we have here two bags, like a bigger one and this like a smaller one, for example, also for a smartphone. But we also have these holders you can get. Don't have to do it. I'm not the biggest fan as for crash safety and so on. But of course, it's convenient not to hold your smartphone, or you can also put it like this then, horizontal format if you watch something. Or you can also, usually that's more meant like for, tablets, iPads and so on. You can here adjust then the size and so on. So, but I think this is a better solution than these always built-in holders, because this holder here you can also just easily remove. So when you don't need it, better to remove it for the crash safety, I would say. This is a good and easy solution overall. Then we have, first of all, I can show you here, this is 2/3 then for sliding forward and backward. Here, this middle tunnel, we have a climate unit. So with seat heating, when the car is running, then also the seat heating would appear. Climate unit separate for the rear seats, two USB-C chargers. And this lower unit, this is in addition, you don't have to go for it. You can also take this whole thing out. This would be possible. And when it is in, see here these rubber lips. When you fold them back in like this, then they become cup holders, or you fold them away and then they're just like this cubby hole. Then we have the middle armrest. Not adaptive, these cup holders though, so maybe the kids will spill it. The middle part can also be folded separately. You can see the top tether behind. Other than that, ISOFIX there in the front on the outside seats each. But we really have to say, yes, the quality is amazing once again here also for the rear seats. Nice with the microfiber. but also how Leah is standing here now filming, the door doesn't open too wide, you know. So when you want to access child seats here, see here, I would rather wish for almost 90-degree opening. So getting large child seats in and out is maybe not ideal. Let's take it that way. Headroom in the rear, plenty available, no problem at all. Legroom is also good. This is the seats I would be driving, and you see here these sport seats are very voluminous. I would guess that the normal seats are maybe a little bit slimmer than, but is enough legroom definitely. And here once again this shade. So overall very well usable. There's so much to tell you about this rear experience, and that's also what the vehicle is really about. And now it gets even more interesting. What about the fifth? Wait a minute. I mean the third seating row. That means the 6th and 7th seats. Yeah, that's right. 1, 2, yeah, 7 seats. Let's just check it out. All right, third seating row. Now the comments are coming in, like Thomas in the third seating row with the time codes, because it always looks funny when I'm a tall person reside in tiny places. So, and then there's like a lever on the top part, and you can push that thing forward like this, and then yeah, the entry is fairly good. So either you can put this third seating row up from the trunk like this, or you can also put it up from here just like this very easily, and then you can also fold it down like this. Let's see if there's any other adjustment possible. No, that's basically it. Also with a nice microfiber in the Sportline, so they didn't save that. So, and then you can push the head restraints up like this. It's also decent. And the thing is now, so when, yeah, like this, I could sit here. As for the headroom, it's possible. You even have own cup holders here, like one cup holder. But if we push this bench back here, then of course it gets problematic, because that way I could sit here, but then look at that front part there, second seat row. It's not possible that anyone sits here. So that's why I did a test, and I pushed this seat here actually in the length, the way that I could still sit in the second seating row, because like this I could still sit there. Can I fit behind it then here? Not really. So here my knee is almost like here. So this is not for tall people in the third seating row. It's more like a, there, let's see again. They also don't have ISOFIX here in the third row. So this is more, let's say, yeah, for kids that are already old enough not to need like a large child seat, but then again, they're not too old, they're not too tall. So it's only for something in between, yeah, or if you're not as tall as me. So it's nice maybe to have the option, but at that length, maybe it makes more sense to stick with the 5-seater. Or what would you say? Trunk or boot, 845 liters with the 7-seater, 9 or 10 liters with the 5-seater. Let's take a look. First of all, here we can play some Tetris, because these are these boot splitters that I can, you know, prevent things from falling all over the place. Yeah, well, why not? Very nice idea for sure. So quite flexible. The length here, by the way, sorry, the width first is 1 meter or 40 inches in the middle part between the arches, but then on the upper part it's more like 120 in meters or 47 inches, and the normal trunk length is 1 meters and 7 or 42 inches. Then let's fold the stuff here, release it like this, and on the other side like this. There we go. You see, to put it fully flat, you have to go around, then push them down, then they're fixed like that. And you can see this is here just an additional cover. Actually, you can fold this one here up or away like this, and they're actually attached here to the third seating row. So it's not a must-have. There we go. More space underneath, also for a replacement tire, and you can also, you know, leave it like this in this position. And this is also here a slidable cover. You press it once like this. The only thing is it's very thin, so here this edge here is kind of sharp. You have to be careful with that. And to fold here the 6th and 7th seat, you can put these straps here, which are, you know, underneath. You can put it through this cover. Maybe I'm not the biggest fan of this cover, but again, it's optional. And then you can also pull them up like this. Yeah, have to remove this one first. Naturally, sorry, didn't think of that. So this is of course important because otherwise no one can sit there anyway. So like this and like this. Under the hood, quite a lot of engine choices. This here, the entry petrol level engine, 1.5 TSI mild hybrid MHEV system, 150 horsepower. We'll drive that one here today, but you can also get a 2-liter TSI, stronger petrol engine. There you can also get an all-wheel drive choice. Or what about the 2-liter TDI, also in 2 different horsepower specs. This engine here is, however, also based for the plug-in hybrid version, which is the most major upgrade, I would say. Now a 20 kWh net battery, massively increased, so like 80 kilometers, 50 miles of real-world range on the pure electric side. And also the recharging is definitely way quicker than before. Sport mode. Yeah, that was actually quite decent. It's of course not the quickest engine. This here, the 1.5 TSI mild hybrid system. The acceleration figure, official one, is just under 10 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour or 0 to 60 miles an hour. So it will not be the strongest engine in the lineup, rather the weakest. But for most cases, since it has a turbo, it will still serve the purpose. It has also a low entry price. We start here with some motorway driving, so going to 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, and it's actually decently silent in here. This is also a thing about this new generation. It is more aerodynamic, and I also feel that they worked on the noise insulation. That is the turning indicator is actually quite nice in the sound, right? So let me just turn it again. Yeah, I think that sounds rich in a way, like not rich in the money sense, but rich, like a rich sound, you know what I mean? Yeah, and I think it gives you good comfort also here with the Sportline sport seats, microfiber, and they hold you also tight in the corners, so it's a good comfort experience definitely. Steering here also a little bit depends on the mode, but still, although we're on the sport mode, it is rather soft, I would say. You can also switch it then here back to the normal mode again, then it's even a little bit softer, but overall it still gives you a quite good feeling of what you're actually doing on the road. And I'm really happy that we can still select here the drive modes in the lower part, easy from sport to normal again, and I press it one more time, then I can also select the volume back again, and yeah, you can also have more functions on there as we've shown to you in the interior part. Probably for driving it's best to select the driving modes there. Yeah, for example, the volume I just changed here with my left thumb on the steering wheel, so that's definitely an easier thing to do. Also, when I realized it's getting a little bit hot in here then now, it's getting hot in here. Both? Yeah. So we can adjust the temperature here easily while driving, so I love this user interface. It's also to me easier if you compare it to the Volkswagen Tiguan, the sister model. They kept here a more classic user interface, and here it's also interesting. So I criticized it last time while driving. This is the car internal GPS, and you have this climate overlay here, this visualization, which is indeed actually quite nice because it's placed in a lower area, and then if you really don't have to look at it, you can also have it up here. And then last time it was the case that you had the overlay on the car internal GPS, but this was not the case for the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto map. And now they changed it actually. So here when I'm, for example, in Apple Maps and I control the climate unit here, there's this overlay, but last time it went black, like the whole GPS screen went black. This time it did not go black, so here the normal overview, so they fixed this software-wise. It's actually quite good that we find out some stuff, then we can also report that to them, or maybe you as a customer can also have some comments underneath the video, and then they can also work on the software status. Now we switch the motorway. This is, by the way, the speed warning. So here we go. Good feeling for the steering wheel. Does it actually feel different than the Tiguan? They come really, really close. Although the Kodiaq is a little bit longer, you don't feel too much of it, I would say. Maybe just a little bit. But overall, since they sit on the very same platform and share so much in the tech, they really come very, very close in the driving. It's more than a question of if you want that extra space here from the Kodiaq. To accelerate onto the motorway, this 1.5 TSI is sometimes a little bit sluggish. So if you have a lot of higher speed motorway situations, I would probably recommend then to go for the 2-liter TSI, for example, or then for the diesel version. The plug-in hybrid will of course also give you more punch. It's not that it's not okay, you know, just that I'm not the biggest fan of downsizing. So when there's a bigger engine with higher displacement available, usually also for, you know, long-term durability reasons is actually quite good. On the other hand, this mild hybrid system can also save some fuel so that you have a lower fuel consumption. And one more thing to talk about is the DCC Plus, as Skoda calls it, you know. DCC Pro, it's been called at Volkswagen. And on individual then, there we can go to configure, and then we can rule from comfort to sport like the whole way. This new 2-valve technology really gave us so much comfort. It's really awesome, and I would actually pick the comfort setting all the way and then sport steering. So that would be my individual mode, because that way you have greatest comfort from suspension, but it's not that would be shaking up or so, but the steering gives you more feedback. Of course, it's not the sportiest SUV in the world. You know, that's what you cannot expect from the Kodiaq, also when we're here in the roundabout or something. But since the suspension is now even more comfortable, this new DC Pro lifts, or DC Plus as Skoda calls it, it really lifts it on another level, and I like that. And I think it very well plays together with the added noise insulation and then here this upgraded suspension, that it's even more comfortable overall. So this makes up, you know, especially like these are the main two differences if you compare the previous Kodiaq to this one now. So about the assistance systems, here there's a blind spot monitor. When I'm setting the turning indicator, the side mirror is also flashing, that's helpful. And then you can of course also activate the cruise control. You have different assistance systems available. You can also activate or deactivate quite easily. That's I think a good thing, because if something is annoying you at some point, like an assistance system, you press here one button and then you can, for example, deactivate the lane assist or deactivate the speed warning. That's a quick thing to do. So yeah, that's actually quite good. Then I can also switch between ACC and the travel assist. The travel assist is the most elaborated system, and I have a separate stalk column here left below. And then I can also have the most elaborated cruise control, so to speak. So here we go, I set it, and then I can also adjust the speed here with this stalk column. And now the car is basically doing everything for me. So keeping the distance to the front and also keeping me in the lane. And so far so good. It's a very smooth system actually, so there are no hectic steering movements. It's still level 2, so you're supposed to keep your hands at the steering wheel at all times, like this. But overall, they worked also on these systems, and they are way more elaborated than here now in this generation. And I mean, there's a lot of cars around us here at the moment, so quite a lot of traffic, and I really feel that they worked so much on noise insulation. We've had it with the Tiguan as well, and this is probably, to me, the biggest difference then from the previous generation Kodiaq to this generation now. It's just more silent, more relaxing ride, and yeah, together with the nice sporty seats here, they are sporty but at the same time more comfortable, I feel. This gives a very good Autobahn cruiser here. What do you think, Leah? You're already dreaming, so you agree. That's always a good sign, you know, when she's like thinking, yeah, let him talk, you know, I'm just relaxing here. It's like and it's always a bad sign when she's like, very like, you know, I hope this will be finished soon. But this definitely like a relaxed sign for that. Yeah, so very good performance here driving wise on the motorway in all the different aspects actually. And to me, really the thing that I have the good user interface, at the same time I have all modern systems that I maybe want or maybe need. So here also, when you just like more steady, not so much acceleration, then also the 1.5 TSI is absolutely fine, you know. We just do one more lane change when we're here at 100 kilometers an hour, see how that performs. Car doesn't shake up at all. Really calm driving experience. We have 19-inch wheels mounted here at the moment. This is probably then still a good choice between you have great visual and you still have some comfort. 20-inch wheels, I would probably not go for them because they maybe look cooler. At the same time, you also lose comfort when you have less dampening comfort than from the tires. So I think this year, as a Sportline 19-inch wheels, is I think a very good choice to configure this vehicle because it gives you comfort. At the same time, you have a nice sporty look. When you say, hey, I don't want like this boring family SUV, I want something, you know, with spice. And I think this is what especially the new Kodiaq here in the Sportline really nails. Consumption here today with the 1.5 liter TSI, very good. Well, we went mainly 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour on the motorway, so ideal conditions. We went with about 6 liters on 1 kilometer, that's 39 mpg US, about 47 mpg UK. Excellent result, of course. Will be a little bit worse when you have more city traffic and so on. But you can see, yes, it's not the most powerful engine, not at all. But then again, with this mild hybrid system, it can also save some fuel. With a better mix of city and so on, you can add like a liter or maybe like deduct 5 mpg or something. Then you get a more realistic value when you also have other driving conditions. Pricing here, you start around 40,000 euros as it's spec'd right here. You can also exceed some 50,000 euros. However, as for the price performance, it's still actually quite good. And especially here in the new generation with the updated adaptive suspension and the better noise insulation, it gives you a more premium ride, definitely. Comparison to the Tiguan, yes, this has just more space and the possibility of a 7-seater. Remember that the EU Tiguan now is just the small one. There will be a bigger, the Tayron, which also adds then more seat possibility, which will be more similar to the Kodiaq actually. And this Tayron will be then the US Tiguan. Yes, sense, logic, sorry about that, that's how VW is planning it. But getting back to the Skoda Kodiaq, overall I think once again a very nice result and a nice upgrade here in this new generation, especially because they kept this rather classic user interface but mixed it with some new digital elements. Then I would only wish for a completely animal-free interior. That's maybe on my bucket list then here for this vehicle. But good that we also have the 7-seater possibility. Not too many possibilities for families if you want more than 5 seats. Today driving of the first ever Cupra Terramar. And you need to watch this because this vehicle is very interesting. It is built together in the same plant in Hungary with the upcoming Audi Q3, the new generation. It's also a sister model, technology-wise, to the VW Tiguan in the new generation. And also, wait a minute, the size is not too different from the Cupra Formentor. So how different is it to the Cupra Formentor? Answers to all of these questions today here in this review. It's Thomas on Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with a very fresh, sporty and modern front. It looks almost, sports car alike here with these cooling holes. And you see, they do collect a lot of stuff. So there's always a pro and con about this, definitely. Graphene gray is this color here for today. I think it's really cool because it's not a matte color, but it looks a little bit matte-ish. There are, however, also matte colors available for this very vehicle here. Well, then the Cupra logo always has this tribal style, or as you might also think of, this is the mark of Sauron. Yeah, maybe you thought of that as well. Like, then the headlamps here, you can optionally get a HD matrix LED. It's also the ones you can see here. And interesting structure also in this Triforce style. Always remember me of like Zelda, Triforce, Ganon and so on if you are familiar with the Nintendo world. And even more interesting is when you hit the turning indicators, for example, how they replace this very structure. And even more interesting when you put like the welcoming and goodbye light signature when you open the vehicle or when you then later on close it again. You always get a very cool light show, and that appears both in the front and probably even more so spectacular in the rear. So we did some cool shots there in the basement garage for you that you can better see that. So they play a lot with light. In that respect, you might say, oh, wait a minute, where is it again built? Yeah, in Hungary together with the Audi Q3. And you know, Audi has positioned themselves so hey, like we are the light brand. Cupra now follows in these footsteps and also wants to do a lot with lighting technology. But here I think it works pretty well. And the HD matrix LED, they can even project things on the ground for assistance systems and so on. Then wheels from 18 to 20 inch. These are the biggest 20-inch wheels. And when you have a VZ version, you can also get Akebono
special brakes, like performance brakes. You can also see them right here, pretty massive. Again, 20-inch wheels. We see how it reacts from the comfort and so on, because this one here also gets the DCC Pro, new dynamic chassis control. That's the adaptive suspension. They have introduced it with the Tiguan and the Passat, and this has a 2-valve technology. So like in both ways, you can rule them individually, and that promises more comfort and sportiness at the same time. Does it work, especially with this wheel configuration? We're going to find out. 18-inch it would start, so if you want even more rolling comfort, you would go 18 or 19-inch. If you don't spec the optional DCC, by the way, then this vehicle here always comes standard with a sport suspension, and the suspension is always 10 millimeters lower than the VW Tiguan, for example. So clearly they want to position it sportier than the Tiguan, but less sporty than the Formentor. So that is like this niche in between. Interesting, isn't it? But yeah, also in the driving part, we're going to find out if Sauron would actually pick the Terramar over the Tiguan today. The length here, by the way, is 4 meters 52 or 178 inches. And that is actually not too different from the Tiguan, but also not too different from the Formentor. It's just like 7 centimeters or 3 inches difference to the Formentor in length. So you might ask yourself, why are they doing that actually? It's a little bit positioned price-wise also above the Formentor, then size-wise, and it's also the newer platform. So this is supposed to be more upmarket, more sophisticated than the Formentor. But does that really work? We're going to find out then when testing more of the interior stuff, and of course also testing the driving later on. Then there's also the Seat Ateca or the Cupra Ateca, which is even a little bit more older platform. And Cupra actually says that the Ateca will at some point, run out, and the Formentor and this one here, the Terramar, they want to have them both at the same time, a little bit different target group, but yeah, we're going to find out more about that very soon. Then in the rear, once again, light strip goes through, pretty cool here with the Sauron logo or Cupra logo. And I have to say, yeah, this light strip on the rear is actually the coolest thing about this vehicle. But why not? Why not? Then you see here, you have the strong diffuser style in the lower part. And wait a minute. Is that a case for the Autogefühl fake exhaust police? Maybe it doesn't really pretend to be an exhaust pipe, but let's say it maybe pretends to be a fake exhaust. Let's take it that way. Yeah, tell me what do you think about this? Maximum towing capacity, by the way, if you have a strong petrol version, is 2.2 tons. And this would also be the version for that, because this is here the all-wheel drive version, and means here front plus rear on demand. It's a front wheel based platform. If you have an all-wheel drive, then on demand power is also sent to the rear wheels. Beep, 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 because the lights are on here in the front. So let's take a look under the engine. They have reduced the choice here a little bit in comparison to the Tiguan. So what they, for example, do not do is offering a diesel. So there is no diesel here for the Cupra Terramar, although it is available in the plant, let's take it that way. This one here is the strongest petrol engine, 2-liter TSI, 265 horsepower, also the VZ version, as Cupra calls it, 5.9 seconds in the acceleration figure. This is the quickest one. Then you would also get actually a lower horsepower figure for this very engine, and also as entry-level engine has a 1.5 TSI, either with mild hybrid, 150 horsepower front-wheel drive. And based on that one, the 1.5 is also the plug-in hybrid with a reasonably sized 20 kWh net battery. So this also gives you a decent pure electric range. And that one has 2 different horsepower outputs. And the stronger one, 272 horsepower, is the second quickest in the lineup with 7.3 seconds in the acceleration figure. Key fob here, without these stickers, just for the launch event. But yeah, high gloss black. At least you get a Cupra logo. Then door closing sounds. Really solid in the front. In the rear, it doesn't sound so good. So with most vehicles recently, we had it that the rear door closing sound was mostly better than the front one. Here it's the other way around. Oh, and here, these like rubber lips here in the lower part of the windows doesn't speak for the best quality, honestly. Also doesn't look that good. So yeah, there we found 2 things that can be improved, definitely. Then inside of the doors, peep, peep, peeps, because the light is on. Then here we see some structure and also somewhat soft
touch here on the top of the door. That looks nice. Then we have these copper accentuations right there, and yeah, or rose gold as Leah would call it. But also nice here with the lever integrated ambient lighting. You already see it from here. There are many features about that coming up later in the review. Then Cupra entry badge. Leah was already there, but I want to show here the like the inside of those in the lower part. This is all hard pack, so this is not covered at all. The Tiguan had that, right? I think the Tiguan had fabric soft covers. Then steering wheel. So far, no alternative to animal skin available there, but cool that we have copper accentuations once again as contrast stitches. And you have the drive mode selector at the steering wheel. That's better than in the Tiguan. I like that I can easily switch the driving mode also in the steering wheel, and rear buttons on the steering wheel for volume, for the cruise control, and so on. Then seats, always these bucket seats. Integrated head restraints, and then you can either get this one here, the Dynamica microfiber, or base would be just fabric, and optionally they still offer animal skin. If you ask me, which one should you go comfort-wise for? So, I mean, they have a good, comfortable ergonomic actually that fits also to tall drivers. 189, 6'2", a lot of headroom left. This one, the version without a panoramic roof here at this moment. I would say if you want those which stay coolest in summer, then go for the base fabric surface, in the middle part. These are then a little bit hotter maybe in summer, and the hottest would be the animal skin. Here, electric control, there we go, back and forth, and also with a memory seat. But you find a good seating position, and
the seat is a little bit short.
yeah, maybe the seat is sometimes a little bit short here in the front. Yeah, so I feel that the Tiguan seat is a little bit longer than for longer legs. That's the thing. But if you compare it to the Formentor, this one here feels more SUV, whereas the Formentor feels a little bit more crossover-ish. And then steering wheel moves up and down, in and out, and you see here all the stall columns move together with that here for the indicators and the wipers, and the right side is then here for the gear selection, like in the VW electric models, reverse and drive like that.
I love that.
Leah actually really likes that, also from the ID3 or something like that. So it's actually everything is fairly easy and straightforward to control here. Cockpit overview, really very prominent, is 13-inch screen, also always in that size here. Soon details to that. Then the dashboard here is also somewhat like a little bit light colored, I would say, like not plain black, also with the structure. Then here also interesting structure, you can also hear that. And it is a very busy design, definitely. Here, probably dampened as well, with another like, like, why are you supposed to put in there? I'm not sure.
Sunglass?
Yeah, but then sunglasses fly around there. So if you have any ideas what you could put there, maybe not t-shirts, I don't know. Here, once again, these very nice air vents. Oh, listen to that. Clicking sounds from the air vents on and off. So this is beautifully done. But you see that in comparison to the Tiguan, this uses so many more different elements in design. Look at that. Different color, different color, different color, different color, different material, another material, another material, another material. So, so many color choices and material choices, even if it's just different nuances. So, yeah, as I said, the design is busy. It's more screaming out. It is more like, hey, we want to be young, fresh, not that settled like in the Tiguan. And that's a matter of preference, what you actually prefer. So, to me, it's sometimes maybe a little bit too much. But then again, I found like for example, the copper elements here. This is actually quite cool, I feel. Then also here, soft touch for your elbow. This is soft enough. Then you have a lot of space underneath actually. And also a 12-volt power supply. Adaptive cup holders here in the front. And then we have an inductive charging pad, which is also cooled. But you see the material easily looks pretty used, actually, 2 USB-C chargers here as well. And also if you want to deactivate the electronic stability control, there's a very easily accessible button, although of course when driving on a road it doesn't need to be that accessible, honestly. By the way, here with 189 6'2", there's still some headroom left, so no problem in the front. This, however, here, the one without the panoramic roof, there is also a version available with panoramic roof. Ambient lighting in the dark, really spectacular, goes all the way around the cockpit, and even inside of the doors here shines through. And when I activate the hazard lights, look at that now, Ooh, there we go. Also use the ambient lighting. Yeah, we might remember that from BMWs recently. And even here, this shining through effect here also applies to the headlight lights. So that's pretty cool. Then we have even more things. So wait for it here. The mode button. So here at this moment I have set the ambient lighting connected to the driving modes. When I go to performance, already changes right here, goes to red, and the Cupra mode has also like orangish color. And here also special, when I now hit the RPM with the throttle, even when stationary. Look at that. Rom rom. What do you think of that feature here? Driver POV, once again the steering wheel with the easy controls here, left and right. So you could also change, for example, the views here in the infotainment system. And yeah, that's everything easy and visible. I like the big RPM meter, definitely that view. And you can also get this head-up display. Then the central infotainment system. As for the climate unit, you have to go here, left and right, swipers for the AC unit. Everything else you control here in the screen. Yeah, at least you have these swipers and don't have to do it directly in the screen. But there are better physical solutions you have maybe seen or survey also lately. And then you have this main menu. It's a good overview. They have now put a better hardware CPU behind that one if you compare it to other of the vehicles. So that's actually more or less fine. And interesting is always, of course, that you here can switch the driving modes, but you can also do it from the steering wheel. So here you can switch it through like this. By the way, if you're in the comfort mode and then press and hold the Cupra button, then you see it directly hops to the Cupra mode. And this is the CarPlay integration like that. Looks quite cool. We did have some issues here today sometimes when we switch from the main infotainment and back to CarPlay again, sometimes it was like a black screen and we had to do it again. So there are still some minor software issues here and there. And Leah's inside handles check. Can she hold tight when Thomas is driving like crazy again? Yes, it's possible, so no cost saving is there. Also properly dampened and even in the rear. So we have both rear and the front handles, so no matter where you sit, you're safe from Thomas crazy driving. Then rear seats. On the top part there's hard plastic, however it is structured here. My hair? Yeah, but it's like all the girls always say they like curly Thomas. But then the guys say like, curly Thomas looks like too wild, please fix your hair, you need a haircut and so on. It's interesting how it's like split, you know, but yeah, vote for or against curly Thomas in the comments, please now. Most important topic for today, definitely. But I would like to know from Leah now, does the copper accentuation, or as she would call it, rose gold, fit to the new Apple Watch? Maybe a little bit. A little bit, right? So I'm smelling this could be her car, but I'm still skeptical. So there needs to be more convincing from the car to convince me, right? Then let's take a look here at the comfort and so on. So you see, it's not too much space for my legs actually. There is this recess here at the back part of the seat. So this does fit, but only with a recess, because these seats here, these integrated sports seats, integrated head restraint sports seats are really voluminous. They take away knee room. Maybe more space than in the Formentor, but not plenty for when you are driving still tall driver. And then here, headroom with 189, 602. This is actually no problem, so there's a lot of headroom left. Then also good quality materials here at the back with the microfiber and the high grade leatherette. That's fine. Isofix on the outside seats. Here we can also move that bench. We're soon also going to show you how that affects the trunk, because you get more trunk length and volume by that. Or of course folded, then here with these straps. And the thing is, these mechanisms that it like gets fixed in here might be good on the one hand and practical. On the other hand, and of course, and you might have experienced a similar situation, we also had it then when someone puts it down and then the other one doesn't really know about that fixation and comes, okay, I'll fold it up again and okay, yeah, that happened, you know, a lot of times for us while shooting. So you then have to unleash it here again or unlock it. Isengard unleashed. So here, there we go. Yeah, and then it's fixed again on the upright position here. Adaptive cup holders, that's really nice here in the middle console. So there you see also this little bit step up, more sophistication than with the Formentor. And here, this and the ski hatch you fold down. But overall, I mean, it's cozy here. minus then the legroom that could be a little bit longer. Oh, nice, by the way, here also these like copper accentuations at the vents, and also, oh, they have clicking sounds when you put them left to right. That's opening and closing them actually, and two USB-C chargers. Let's check out the trunk or the boot, opening it here from below. 530 liter in the standard setup. Then here the cabin trolley fits also in vertically, no problem. It's a meter of 40 inches in width, and the normal length here is about 88 centimeters or 35 inches. See here, I already folded 2/3. There's also ski hatch folding available, and the total length here is 170 in meters or 67 inches. Underneath here, I can also lift that one. The plug-in hybrid would have a little bit less in the liter setup. Here is also with a subwoofer. Replacement tire would also theoretically be possible. And if you read different liter figures out there, the reason for that is it varies depending on the rear bench. So when I put it a little bit more forward like this here, then you have more trunk length here, and then also this boot volume number is a little bit higher. To fold the seats, by the way, that's why I did it before. Folding from here, it's not really possible. You have to go around then and do it and from the rear to fold them here. Cupra mode. So a good acceleration here from standstill, and 5.9 seconds is the official figure. I'm gonna check the time codes if this one was actually correct. This one here driving the 265 horsepower version of the 2-liter TSI. So this is a top horsepower version, also the most powerful one, not in the horsepower sense, but in the acceleration sense, because the other one would then be the 272 horsepower plug-in hybrid. But this one here, of course, always has the best acceleration figure because it is way lighter than the plug-in hybrid, and always has the power no matter in what situation. It is not dependent on how the status of the battery actually is. So essentially, this is here also a new Tiguan technology-wise, or upcoming Audi Q3, and you feel that in some aspects. We've also mentioned the interior part, like here the shifting lever and so on. But since the design is so different on the interior, then again it says like, yeah, maybe it is something different. But driving-wise, it's definitely very interesting to find out some of the differences. So what I've done here is they use the same technology, yes, but try to make the car a little bit sportier, and it's probably also one of the reasons they don't offer a diesel version here. Here in the Cupra mode, we also have the DCC Pro, a little bit stiffer. So it's still, since it's like this adaptive suspension with the new 2-valve system, this is also new to this generation here. Also, if you compare like a new Tiguan to the previous generation Tiguan, this new DCC Pro has a wider span between comfort and sport here. So although we are in the sports mode here, the suspension is doing also a good job as for the comfort. So sometimes when we have adaptive suspensions, you might say, hey, I want to just switch the mode very quickly again because maybe a sport mode is uncomfortable or something like that. But here it's actually totally fine. So I could drive all day actually also in the comfort mode. Then let's do some lane change here, left to right. It's really nice. So it drives very well. It feels really small, it feels compact, and it feels a little bit more agile than the Tiguan, and that is probably due to the suspension setup. Or Leah, what would you say? Yeah, would you agree?
I agree.
Thank you. Yeah, sometimes it's really good to ask her, because I mean, sometimes I say like, wind noise is like this, and she's like, nah, that's really loud, you know. So it's good when we both agree. That's actually always good, right? Yeah. On everything, almost everything. Yeah, but indeed it feels a little bit more agile. That's also what they wanted to achieve. So although it's not really smaller, it feels a little bit smaller than the Tiguan does. And it's cool that I can also switch through the driving modes here from the steering wheel. I love that. So we're here in the Cupra mode. And then the only thing that a little bit maybe irritates me, but you can argue pro and con here. It doesn't change here. So it only shows me a small symbol then in the instruments there in the front, which driving mode I'm actually in. Now I'm going back to the normal comfort mode. If you want to follow that, you would have to, click here on the button itself and go for the, and that's the thing, doing that drive profile though. So there we are. And then I can see like which mode I'm actually in. But you can also remember these pictograms, which stands for which mode, and then go back to that one again. So here in the comfort mode, gives me a little bit more floating comfort from suspension. So suspension is definitely already one of the most favorite things here about this vehicle. I can already tell you that this new DCC Pro is really good. There were also some comments and questions like, does that one create a special humming noise in the vehicle? And so far we have not experienced that. So also here at 1 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour on the motorway, I don't feel that this car would be any noisy from suspension, from bumps or something like that. Maybe we can test it later again where we have some bumps in the road or something, but here on the motorway it's actually nice and silent. So it feels like a good motorway vehicle, actually, from the suspension characteristics, also from the noise insulation and so on. The steering is also pretty cool because it's really direct. The progressive steering is also standard for this vehicle, so you don't have to go for that one optional. What does progressive steering mean? It means that you don't have to steer too much to actually do the same thing you want to achieve. So when I'm here doing the lane change, you see fine commands are transported, and then it goes a little bit more progressive to the outside. Mean when I'm doing some steering to the outside, it increases like what the wheels are doing. So you don't have to like steer it all the way around just to do one corner or something like that. And it's working very well. But here also in the comfort mode, that's again this DCC Pro. What is that? What the? Huh? She was like wildly gesturing and shouting with the window down for something like, I don't know. Interesting. Yeah. Welcome to Spain, I guess. So yeah, our Spanish fans also mention that quite often to us, that this is actually something pretty normal. I've heard. Well, in Germany, like the language of abuse on the motorway is rather like, you know, driving so close to one each other, not talking, but just showing with the vehicle, with the force. Of course, very dangerous that you are like the strongest on the road, but. Of course, all aggression on the road is pretty useless. Yeah, can't say that I'm totally immune to that when I'm being provoked, but you always have to try to like calm yourself. Like, no, this is not the place where you should carry out your fights. Definitely. Dia says like, yeah, okay, and last time you had the 8-cylinder and then accelerated all the way through to 200 to revenge yourself. Yeah, sorry, guilty for that. Sometimes I try to use the quick cars also to show. That I'm not getting bullied on the road, you know, so, but yeah. Always, of course, in the safe manner. But this car really tempts you also to drive sporty, but without being too exaggerated. And there's the big question about the Cupra Formentor, because the size difference is not too large. And yeah, you can really raise the question like, why do they put two cars out there that are really, really similar? This one here is on a newer platform, together with the all-new VW Tiguan. So this one, for example, gets the DCC Pro, has a little bit more space, a little bit larger and so on. So this one here is, let's say, the higher positioned vehicle. But I have to say, I do feel the comfort difference from the suspension. So yes, this suspension here does feel more sophisticated. Yeah, you feel that it's more upmarket. But it's not like that would say, hey, that's why I would pay double the price for the Terramar than for the Formentor. So the thing is that sometimes they give very good leasing rates, like in the recent years, to the Formentor. So you can still go for the Formentor if you have a very, very great deal, and if this one would be like super, super expensive or something like that. In 120 kilometers on the motorway here in Spain, 70 miles an hour, that's approximately like that, and still really smooth and also silent. It's extremely windy outside today here, especially on that motorway here. There was like a wind indicator next to the road. It was going crazy, but super relaxing. So this can indeed do both. So the performance, by the same time also that relaxing part. And I really have to say, when we started our journey here today, I was thinking, yeah, there's a difference here. There's like this wind indicator. There is a difference. Actually, what was the like an electric windmill to power the? I don't know. Maybe our guys from Barcelona can enlighten us on that. So I first thought that the difference between the Formentor and the Terramar is there, but maybe not the largest ones. But the more you drive this vehicle here, the more you really feel that there is a very notable difference. This one here is more sophisticated, it's more silent, it drives just better, especially with the CCC Pro. So yes, a higher price here for the Terramar is definitely justified, not only because it's a little bit larger, but also it is the more like higher positioned vehicle. It really feels premium in driving, gotta say that. And for the Formentor, it's more that, hey, you get maybe like a good deal, a good price for a very decent vehicle, and it drives well and so on. But this one really tops the Formentor. So you can understand that they not only want to cannibalize the existing target group, but they want, probably cannibalize the Tiguan. Not sure if the VW guys will like that, but of course also from outside the VW corporation, because what we recently heard. Like an old friend of mine, he actually said like, I always used to drive BMWs, now the prices are just insane, and now I drive Cupra, so that might be a thing if you want to drive something fancier, but at the same time you don't want to pay Audi, BMW, Mercedes prices. It's not that the price would be low for this one, but still, if you get a good leasing deal, it's probably in most cases then, still cheaper than Audi, BMW, Mercedes, because their prices are meanwhile gone through the roof. So this might also be something. And here once again, even at some higher speeds on the motorway, you can easily enjoy that. Of course, if you guys fancy, we can of course at some point repeat that test here with really, really high speeds on the German Autobahn. Deactivating this speed warning while driving, by the way, is possible, this new EU law. So either you're here in the vehicle menu and driver alerts, speed warning here on and off, or you can also press a button here at the steering wheel and then scroll with your right thumb and go to speed warning, and then it's also deactivated. So they found two ways which are not too complicated to do. So I think that's fine. Then we also have, of course, adaptive cruise control. Here we have also installed the most sophisticated setting. You can also do here with the left thumb to set, and the distance to the car in front of us is being kept. And we can also, for example, increase or decrease the distance, and also with the same button here I can then decide if it's just a normal ACC speed limiter, or if I go to the travel assist like with the VWs, and then with the travel assist it also does here the keeping in the lane. I'm supposed to keep the hands at the steering wheel. Now when we go to tunnel, we can also see some of the ambient lighting that goes away around here, like a river hoop, you call it, with a boat, with a yacht, for example. And here you can also see, a little bit stuck in the traffic jam here, that the steering does just slide and smooth commands. And that's also the thing when you have this new platform, all the other technology stuff besides the hardware suspension is all more sophisticated. So here also the assistance systems are more sophisticated. You can see here it takes a slight bend, and it's also keeping it centered in a lane. Although I'm now moving over to the right a little bit to make space for a suicide motorcyclist. But you see here, very smooth also as for the assistance system. Blind spot monitor, there we go. So it's integrated actually here in this ambient lighting.
That's nice.
There we can see, this is pretty cool actually. It's slight integration, maybe not as visible when it would be in the side mirror there, but it's actually a cool idea, definitely. And some agile driving now here. Okay, this is in the Cupra mode, the sound actuation. I don't know. Not sure how much you hear from that on the camera, but honestly, doesn't sound so good. In the Cupra mode, it's always on. You can go to an individual mode and then like set everything to sporty, but deactivate the sound emulation. That wouldn't be possible, but in the Cupra mode it is on. It's also like, I don't know, it sounds really artificial. So actually I'm not a fan of that one. In the performance mode, you still have performance, but see here the sound emulation is not as strong. I would say this is maybe not the best thing. However, the handling itself is actually pretty decent. So here DCC in that sport modes is a little bit stiffer. At the same time, it's not getting rough or something. Steering feel is really nice, so you don't have to steer too much with that progressive steering. And the car actually also does exactly what you expect from it. And here also, once again, you feel the difference between the Formentor and the Terramar. So here I'm way more relaxed in these winding corners, and when you may remember, we were driving agile in the Formentor, and that was way more engaging. So for a driver, actually more fun. For you?
Yeah, it's better. Yeah.
So the Formentor was more fun for me to drive as a driver because it was like sportier, more engaging. This one here more relaxed and more comfort. So
Better for the passenger.
so you feel this is better for the passenger here? Because sometimes we have cars that are a little bit sportier, and then it's sometimes better for the passenger because you don't get like this motion sickness or something. But here, do you feel better here or in the Formentor?
Yeah.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that's the comfort thing then from the suspension and so on. But definitely if you want a more driver-focused car and more sporty driving fun, then you would stick with the Formentor. And if you want more comfort and also more comfort for your passengers, then you would go here with the Terramar. And fuel economy is not too good, honestly. So when we did more like cruise control motorway, 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, we were a little bit less than 8 liters on 100 kilometers, so about 30 mpg US, 35 mpg UK. However, if you also take into account some acceleration, also some city traffic, it even jumped to about 10 liters on 100 kilometers. So that is then rather like 23 mpg US or 28 mpg UK. Pricing starts from 43,000 euros, so we already have the German example prices, and up to a little bit more, over 60,000 euros if you go strongest engine, highest trim, extras, wheels, performance brakes and so on as it stands here right now. And then of course it's not like a cheap offer at all. And also the price difference to the Formentor is, when you compare the base versions, at least 3,000 euros. But then if you compare top trim, would be like 55 to like 63. So then the price difference can be from 3,000 to 8,000 euros Formentor to the Terramar. So you see it's positioned higher also pricing wise. And yeah, it kind of works. It is a more sophisticated vehicle, but it's also, let's say, less a driver's vehicle. So it is fun to drive. It is a little bit stiffer in the setup than the Tiguan, also a little bit sporty oriented from the setup, telling me 10 millimeters lower. But then again, the Formentor is more engaging to drive, sportier. This one here brings more comfort, especially with the new DCC Pro. More sophistication in the suspension, also less loud, so more silent on the motorway at higher speeds. This one gives you more a relaxed SUV feeling, whereas the Formentor gives you more the modern, sporty crossover touch than at a lower price. And yeah, Cupra has been like firing out these Cupra Formentors at really good leasing ratios. I'm really looking forward how they will position this one here in the leasing wise, but definitely the way we make it more expensive than the Formentor, obviously. Sometimes the naming can be a little bit confusing, but I hope that we could bring you a little bit like closer to understanding what is the different positioning of the car. Clear is that you can take this one also as a very good Tiguan replacement if you think, yeah, I like the Tiguan concept, space-wise and so on, but I want it a little bit more spiced up. And then you can also go for the Sauron Terramar or Cupra Terramar. This is here the updated Cupra Formentor. It has become a very popular compact SUV or compact crossover. Why is that? And what are the update changes? We're also going to drive here the new VZ version, 333 horsepower and torque split at the rear axle. This is going to be really sporty and interesting. Everything you need to know about this vehicle here with Thomas Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the front, which doesn't have a typical single frame open grille anymore or something. It's more closed on the one hand, but then of course there are cooling openings and more horizontal stress, and this kind of little bit overlapping shark nose front. Enceladus gray is this vehicle color, which is first of all a matte color and also has this almost purple nuance in it. Very interesting one, isn't it? Then this copper Cupra logo right here, and we also have a new light signature, and to me it always reminds me of Zelda, you know, the Triforce here in this yeah, 1, 2, 3 dot styling, pretty interesting. And of course, pretty cool also when you use the turning indicators. And you have a very extensive light signature also when you open and close the vehicle. Length 4.45 meters or 175 inches. You would start with 18-inch wheels. And then optional or standard for the VZ versions, the more powerful versions, 19-inch wheels in different stylings. Here once again this copper styling, pretty cool, and also with these copper brake calipers. That looks amazing, doesn't it? And then here also in this gray shiny style, the wheel cladding around. And then you can see this very strong hip area in this crossover styling right here. The DCC, dynamic chassis control, this adaptive suspension comes standard for the VZ models. Otherwise it's an option, and they try to limit the package a little bit that it's not too complicated to configure it. In comparison, of course, there are still enough options left, soon more to the pricing. In the rear also a complete rework here in the top. The light signature goes then here through to the middle logo, which is also now illuminated, and that looks also pretty cool, doesn't it? Then the VZ badge is right here, once again for the more powerful versions. Then the really striking contrasting diffuser area in the lower part, and here these are even here in this version the Akrapovic exhaust, giving us a little bit more exhaust note. But there's also a sound actuator on the inside for all the VZ version. I'm going to show you later that it actually makes a huge difference. Since we want to check out the engine sound right now, something more on top. So they have this emotional startup function here. So when you hold the start engine or stop engine button first for like 1.5 seconds, and then press the brake, so the other way around basically, then you have like emotional plop start-up sound. Let's listen to that. With the engines, let's start slowly. You start with a 2-liter TDI as entry-level engine. Then you have a 1.5 TSI turbo petrol engine. If you want to keep it rather low in the price and maybe take one of the good leasing offers, they really went full way, all the way in with good leasing offers recently, actually. Big upgrade is the plug-in hybrid. It is based on the 1.5 TSI. That one now with 20 kilowatt hours net from the battery. That means you can do some 80 kilometers or 50 miles of pure electric range with it. And of course also good depending on the country for taxation reasons, for example. So this is like the most significant update actually. And then on the pure petrol side, more to the performance side. First of all, the stronger plug-in hybrid horsepower version is already a VZ version, as well as the 2-liter TSI versions, either with 265 horsepower front-wheel drive, or here 333 horsepower all-wheel drive, and also at the rear with a torque split that you can send more torque to the curved outer wheel than at the rear axle, and kind of like letting go of that front-wheel drive characteristic. Very interesting indeed, and we take a look if that works. 4.8 seconds is the acceleration figure, by the way, and so far a VZ5 version with the 5-cylinder that they had before is not planned. It was also really small in numbers, very niche, and of course way too expensive for the car in general. So I'm at this moment pretty certain that they will stick with this version here as the very strongest one. Vehicle key in high gloss black. Of course you get them without the event stickers. Yeah, Cupra badge. It's not my favorite key, let's take it that way. And door closing sound is okay, nothing special. Oh, the rear one is better, definitely. Then inside of the doors, here the front structure and also soft touch. Also soft touch here with the leatherette. And what I really like, they have this gray scheme, for example, that you don't have only black, for example. However, no covering of the inside of the doors or something. Then Sennheiser sound system. This is new actually. 12 speakers, or to be very precise, because I did some investigation on that. Because on some, like price, it said like 11 speakers, then they said 12 speakers, and I was like, is it 11 or 12 now? Well, it is 11 speakers plus subwoofer. And if you're in the audiophile industry, maybe you can tell me, is a subwoofer officially a speaker? Do you say 11 speakers plus subwoofer, or is that 12 speakers? Technically, I would say it's 12 speakers because the subwoofer also is a speaker. I would say this, so, but
Maybe like 4 or 5 door thing.
yeah. I mean, it's a discussion like, is this a 5-door or is it a 4-door? You can argue pro and con. Yeah. let's continue. And maybe you get some comments about this. Interior, you have the steering wheel with these copper stitching on the inside. Then the Cupra button. This is really important because you can click through the driving modes, and also for the cruise control, real buttons, no hashtag capacitive BS. I really like that. Then the seats, different ones are available. These are the optional cup bucket seats with fabric, some microfiber accentuations. The seat itself is animal free, and they also use some recycling. No alternatives available yet for the steering wheel. However, as base, you would also get a normal sport seat with head restraints integrated with microfiber, or the base seat, not available for the VZ versions, is a pure fabric seat. The VZ already starts with the mid-trim sports seat, and then this one optional. And here you get held tight a little bit more, especially in the shoulder area, but I feel that the normal sport seat is a little bit softer. Then here, 189, 602, still some headroom left. Cockpit overview with some news, soon more to that. First of all, here the dashboard has this soft touch with the copper control stitches, and I really like here this decoy element. It has also a structure, and you can really hear it, how it feels. Then glove box, dampened somewhat as well, and then there's like a special secret cubby hole inside the glove box right there, and good closing sound. Middle console, I like it once again that they have gray as a color scheme, not only plain black here, for example. Then here, this is in a DSG shifting lever, dual clutch transmission. In the front, you have inductive charging pad, and it also has some cooling holes, 2 USB-C chargers. And then here, cup holders, they are not adaptive, but they have 2 different sizes. And then this one is also dampened here for your elbow. That's fine actually, and then you can store some other clutter there. More 2 USB-C chargers are in the rear, by the way. And then this one here is the panoramic roof, and there's, first of all, there's a shade available you can apply like this, both with these doubtful sliders though, and you can really open that completely to leave some real air in. That has also become rare on the market, and yeah, that works very, very well. News here as for the infotainment size, now always 13-inch, bigger screen overall, and also these sliders here for the temperature in the lower part, they are now illuminated at night, that you at least see them in the darkness. Steering wheel has a very good size, also shifting pedals here, and as I said, I like it that I can straightforward control it with individual buttons. And this is your driver POV for today here, pretty nice here with the steering wheel size. And then the infotainment system, it is definitely quicker than before. So just the responsiveness you can see right here. Most of the time probably you would use Google Maps or Apple CarPlay, wireless or wired is both available. So it's a significant update, definitely. We have to see how it holds on over time. They had a lot of software issues, of course, in the recent years, but this looks definitely more promising now. And the sound of the Sennheiser system, actually quite nice. It's really bass intensive, I have to say. Then you can take a look at the equalizer, and this is the club setting. So probably I would, although I love, like electronic music and stuff, maybe even not use the club setting, but the normal music setting that is a little bit less bass intensive. Leah is showing you 2 more features. First of all, here for the ambient lighting, you can also change the colors, but better to see, of course, in tunnel or when it's dark. And interesting also here with the key fob, it directly fits here in this specific hole on the left side. Actually, on both way around, if you turn it around, also fits. So yeah, however you like it. Rear seats, and here the rear doors. This is all hard-packed material then throughout the door. And then here you can see these cup bucket seats. They have carbon fiber at the back part, and also this recess right here. So this is actually quite good. As for the rear legroom, although this recess begins way lower, I'm sitting here as a driver in this position, but you see, for 4 tall adults, no problem. Also headroom wise, no problem at all, even with the panoramic roof. 2 USB-C chargers, and also this temperature unit here in the rear when the engine is running. Can I also sit here on the 5th seat? If I get arranged here with my legs, yeah, more or less for short journeys, for example. Isofix then at the outside seats each, and they are also hidden here in a way. Cup holders, all open, not adaptive, and then you can also apply this ski hatch here to load through the trunk. And can we adjust something here? No, that's actually just for you fold it or you don't. The trunk, 450 liters, unless you have the 3-dimensional camera view, then there's an additional CPU unit which reduces it to 420 liters. Interesting, isn't it? It's also the case in here, but still well usable here. Vertical cabin trolley, no problem. Backpack, and the width, see here, is about 1 meter or 40 inches, and the normal length is some 83 centimeters or 32 inches. And the total length to the seats, as we are driving for 2/3, is about 160 in meters or 62 inches. Underneath here, we have some more space, unless you have the subwoofer right here from the Sennheiser sound system. Then the spare tire will get a little bit tricky. And you can see here also this the electric hatch. Does it actually have a good child safety? Yeah, that's fine from the sensor. Launch control. Plop. Woo! 90 kilometers an hour. That was 0 to 90. Nice, 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 nice. Woo! And here I also have now the torque vectoring at the rear axle, which helps me especially in these corners, because then I have more power on the outside wheel. Really cool. And the sound actuator then here, yeah, it feels so good, and the handling is really super, super agile. I love that. However, what's really interesting here in the Cupra mode, that sound actuator is even more accentuated. So in the drift mode, it's drawn back. Probably it would be like maybe too annoying then in the drifting mode or something. Of course, the Cupra mode is then better for public roads because it leaves more ESC in. And the handling of the car is really superb. So you have a very good feeling of the steering wheel. Look at that here now when I go in this 90-degree corner. Really beautiful how the steering wheel follows the corner, the degree angle. It feels very compact, very light indeed. This one here then also a version without any additional battery system or something. And that is of course good because it is in comparison really lightweight. Oh, this is a Krapovich exhaust. It's very beautiful, right? Sometimes it gives you the crackles and pops. Nice, very, very cool. So dynamic wise, I have to say, yeah, really awesome. And you don't feel that it would be like an SUV crossover or something. It really gives you these typical hot hatch vibes. And yeah, this 333 horsepower version here. Do I miss the 5-cylinder here? I mean, driving fun wise, not. Of course, the 5-cylinder is always something different sound wise, because there you have that true sound from that 5-cylinder, no doubt about that. But they did so much for the driving fun, especially with the torque vectoring, that it doesn't feel like a front-wheel driven vehicle or something. I mean, yes, you have all-wheel drive, but due to this torque vectoring here, this front-wheel bias, you know, is nothing you would feel on a negative side or something. Plop. Woo! So that was like 20 to 100 kilometers. Really nice acceleration. All-wheel drive here, and we have the new top performance version. This one here is 333 horsepower, and you also hear it. It has this sound actuator, 2-liter 4-cylinder TSI. Wow, this in this Cupra mode here with the sound actuator is like, yeah, that is. It really sounds like something even bigger for sure. And with this all-wheel drive, you also get the traction on the ground from that acceleration. It's a big difference by the way here when you pick the comfort mode. Now you can switch to the map. Like when you want to switch it through in the infotainment system, here they have made it a little bit complicated, because here you have to go into drive profile and then pick the individual stuff. But the good thing is you can change here on the steering wheel and take a look at that. Off-road drift. Drift is even possible because this one here has torque vectoring. Here, comfort, then you click it through, performance. Cupra is the sportiest mode. Individual, for example, you can also individualize yourself. Here, for example, set the DCC, the adaptive suspension, all the way to the soft mode, or maybe then the steering to the sporty setting. That is, for example, possible. That is also one of my likable settings. And what's also interesting, when you are actually, for example, in the comfort mode, don't want to click things through, press and hold the button, and it always jumps to the Cupra mode. I can show it to you again. Here, comfort, and I would click it through, but here, press and hold, always hops to the Cupra mode. I think it's well done, so I don't need to finger around in the infotainment system. I can directly access the Cupra mode, and that's also a cool thing that, you know, when you want to drive a little bit sportier, that's it. Biggest difference is then also the sound actuator, because just to get a little bit more performance, you can always also use the shifting pedals. So you individually shift down yourself, and then you ride in the RPMs. So you can also do that. Even here, when you are in the comfort mode, you can also just here shift down, and it's just like such a big difference in the sound actuator mode. I mean, here in comfort mode, when you accelerate, you almost hear nothing. In the Cupra mode, yeah, it really sounds like a completely different vehicle. I mean, when you are on the motorway for a longer period of time, probably that's even a little bit too much then, maybe, I don't know, but that's totally up to you. You can decide that, so I think it's fine. Drift mode, as I said, this is relevant on non-public roads, because then you can make most use of this torque vectoring here in the rear. It's like, usually it has power on the front wheels, then maximum 50% is sent to the rear wheels, and then with this torque vectoring system you get here in the 333 horsepower version, the top VZ version, it also distributes on the rear axle, you know, so the curved outer wheel can get more torque than the curved inner wheel, and then you can get out of the corners even better. Take a look here at the motorway driving. So for calmness and comfort, you would go to the comfort mode. That's also okay from the noise volume here on the inside. And here you can still set cruise control on the steering wheel, easily done. Real buttons still, I really like that you have real buttons to control everything. That's easily done. And you also have an active lane keeping assist. Here, for example, the car is steering for us. See here, very smoothly done. Of course, here in this facelift, they have also updated the assistance systems, and that works very well, so pretty smooth. Yeah, and I mean, the Formentor always gives you like a little spice, something special. Also a little bit higher crossover style if you compare it directly to the Cupra Leon. When they stand next to each other, you have to look closely which one is which one. The Formentor a little bit longer from the over in comparison to the hatch. Then again, the Estate is a little bit longer than the Formentor. So it sits between the Cupra Leon and the Leon Sports Tourer. I would describe it in that way. And you don't have this really high sitting SUV feeling, but something then I would say between SUV and crossover. Let's take it that way. And when you set the mirrors, by the way, it's always nice to set them in a way that you still see something from the chassis, that you can see these very strong shoulders when you look to the back, to the side mirror there. That's really nice. I got a nice steering feel as well. And yeah, as I said, you can also individualize that yourself in the Cupra mode, or when you have it set in the individual mode, it also gives some more feedback. But it's really precise, it's progressive as well. Here, when you have a VZ version, you have a lot of standard features as well. 19-inch wheels, then you have like this progressive steering. Here, the dynamic chassis control, the adaptive suspension, it's doing a great job. So although we have the 19-inch wheels, we have actually good comfort, so don't have like strong feeling in the lower back and the lumbar area or something, just because the wheels are a little bit larger. So that's actually fine. So I'm really a fan of the DCC. You should always go for that one. Here they actually combine it with the Matrix LED and the light show animation and so on. Yeah, these packaging or trim combinations are sometimes a little bit strange. That's what manufacturers do. So I'm feeling actually quite good here on the motorway. Seating wise, we have these special cup bucket seats here with fabric on the inside. That's good that it doesn't get as hot as the animal skin surface, for example. If you ask me to go between the normal, like there's like the base seat fabric only, then there's the sports with the integrated head restraint already, and then there's this cup bucket seat. It's a really tough question, so it depends on the individual body posture. Here, these ones, they are holding you a little bit tighter in the shoulder area. If you race a lot, that might make sense for you. Then again, they are a little bit stiffer from the bolstering, which they are supposed to be actually. So probably for the best comfort, I think I would get the normal sports seats with the microfiber. I think they're a little bit better in comfort, but it depends. Maybe if you can test it at the dealer, but from my first gut feeling, I would probably stick with the normal sports seats, and that's it. Although these here, they look really amazing, definitely. Fuel economy or consumption or mileage, at least some minimum 7 liters on 100 kilometers, so 34 mpg US, 41 mpg UK. If you do like 100, 120 kilometers an hour motorway, that's always with this engine, and also when you have a lot of horsepower, all-wheel drive, and so on and so on. Of course, when you use it in a more performance way, then the consumption is even worse. Pricing, pretty interesting. So an entry price, you know, with a very, very low engine and lower trim and so on, starts already around 40,000 euros in Germany or 35,000 pounds in the UK. But then if you go like higher spec, bigger engine, some packages inside, you can easily also crack like this 50 to 60,000 area and so on. You have to think about it. Comparing to a true sports car is still quite a good deal, but of course it's not a cheap car at all, from the list price at least. Even more interesting with this one is, I mean, I've been looking at the market the past years, they really often have good leasing offers, where this one in leasing was even cheaper than some cars that were, you know, actually in a different price region. You know? So very interesting, and sometimes for the Cupra Formentor you got a better leasing rate than, for example, for a Volkswagen T-Roc or for a Golf or something, and that made it also popular. Why is that? I'm not even sure if some of these leasing offers were like sustainable for them. I think they really wanted to push the car on the market because they say, hey, this is like our first own halo car, and we want to show what it's capable of. We want to have it visible on the road. So as long as they make these offers, it's even more attractive, definitely. And this 333 horsepower version will of course be like the niche top version. More on the road you will see, for example, the 1.5 liter TSI with 150 horsepower. If at some point your desired engine is not available yet in the configurator, don't wonder. Until the end of 2024, they want to have all the engine versions released here also in this updated trim. A significant update for one of the best sellers worldwide. This here is the Hyundai Tucson in the recent facelift. You asked me to review it, and that's what I'm going to do here right now. See what it gives, what it brings, and how good is this facelift, what have they changed. Everything of that with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the updated front grille, more modern, pretty cool look indeed here. And also look at that daytime running light, which kind of copy the design of the rest of the front grille. So that's definitely lovely done. Also a sportier lower bumper, because this is here the N-line. The N-line means a sportier design without having the sporty engine. So not a true N model, which is also not available actually for the Tucson at all. So we have to stick then with this N-line here today. Then the length is 4 meters 51 or 178 inches in the short wheelbase version that we get here in Europe. The Northern American version would be the long wheelbase, which is overall 13 centimeters or 5 inches longer, so more legroom then. Then the N-line badge here at the side. And we have 19-inch wheels. These are the biggest wheels that are available. 17-inch would actually be base. This beautiful color here, by the way, is shadow gray. So it has this matte appearance as a unique color, but it's not really a matte color. But I think it's stylish, it's elegant, and also when it gets a little bit dirty, it's not a big problem. Then towards the rear, we have the updated signature here from the lights, goes all the way through the light strip, and then these vertical elements. That looks pretty cool. One detail I found not that exciting is here, the Hyundai lettering here. Look at that. To save some effort here, they put the I to the A. Yeah, maybe that could have been done a little bit better. However, what I find quite cool, you see no like visible logo here on the rear. They integrated it basically in the rear window. It is not physical in a way, you cannot feel, you cannot touch it, but I think it's a very interesting idea to do something different. Or what do you think about that? Turning indicators in the front, they look pretty amazing, don't they? So yeah, that's some beautiful work and also very visible. However, here in the rear, look at that, the turning indicators are down there and also with a standard bulb only. Okay, that's probably coast cutting. And yeah, one of the reasons is also that when you open the hatch, they are still visible. However, they could have been also here at the side, or what do you think? Now to the interior with this key fob, which you can see here, actually from the distance, you can better see it on camera than in person, that this is the Hyundai logo here. However, from the form and from the quality, you might think that this is a device that can be used for different purposes. Then to the door closing sound. Nothing special there. Yeah, everything a little bit you know, echo-ish something, not the best. And also here, like this lower part here, yeah, like this typical rubber atmosphere, so to speak. So not the best two details there, but there are other details coming up here in the inside of the doors. Also a structure on the top part, then it's here a little bit. Yeah, Dia's shadow there. Yeah, a lot of high gloss black, which no one wants, but they still put it there. But classic controls here, hard pack at the inside of the doors. And then this is here the N-line. And so you also have the N-line floor mats. They look pretty fancy, don't they? And steering wheel with the N-line badge as well. Red control surfaces on the inside and real controls here. Nice galvanized metal-ish look here and feel, real buttons, easy to control. And you can already see this dual screen setup, new with the facelift. Soon more details to that. That makes it more modern in the atmosphere. These are also the N-line seats with a lot of microfiber. They are not animal-free. Completely animal-free seat would be the base fabric seats or the leatherette version in the Northern American market, which we do not get in Europe. Some minor problems with the seats, by the way. First of all, well, this logo here on the top looks, of course, cool. However, if you're tall enough and you lean backwards, you feel this hard piece here of the seat. So it's always like these decisions. Yeah, the designer thought something out, but then did no one did a test seat and actually feel it? And then also, second problem is when you're really tall like me. I mean, not everyone is 189 and 6'2", but when you're tall, then you see you're actually too tall for the seats. So here I'm reaching over the seats here already with my shoulder, and I also feel that while driving. And I also, you know, feel this hard piece there in the back. And then the third problem is, although visually I really love the seats here, this one here, I have like the, you know, this additional stitching here, and there's like an edge, and you can feel that. And you also feel that with your butt, actually. Did I just say that? Yeah, when you sit there, you just feel that. And I think that's once again a thing of the seat needs to be form follows function, you know, and not function follows form. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's about it. But there are also other seats available. And they're still comfortable. It's still okay. Just, you know, talking about the little details, what we do here on this channel. And then the steering wheel, up and down, in and out like this. And you see that the switch gear is actually attached to it. There we go. And then like for D, reverse and P. So that's an easy solution on the one hand. This also comes with a butt for a BUT, not a BUWT, for tall drivers. So when you have long legs, and I usually have the steering wheel also in a rather lower position than you see here, and you're driving and you either hit your knee at the AC unit, so that's the one thing, or you hit it here then left side. So you have to actually hold it exactly in between that you don't hit anything there. So not an ideal design as for this aspect. The new cockpit looks very cool, however. Here there's a nice N-line cover then here for the dashboard. This also where ambient lighting comes, this you know, this open cubby hole. And then here you have the glove box, which could be a little bit more dampened. And huge middle console, adaptive cup holders here in the top part. This is an inductive charging pad, no cooling here, however, so the phone might overheat. The driving modes, we test them while driving, you change it right here. This one here, this vehicle is also equipped with the optional adaptive suspension, the ECS. And this does change when you go to the sport mode, and we're going to test that here for you today. Then here by the way, for your elbow, it's too hard. So this needs to be softer when you want to rest your elbow here. So I often, you know, like on long Autobahn drives like this, right elbow here, left elbow there. And then this is actually too hard for them from the surface. Underneath, a lot of space. So you have put all the clutter right there. Also a lot of space here in the lower part of the middle console. That's pretty lovely. Then here to connect your phone, you can then you know, either charge or charge and connect. You can switch that, another charger. So that's actually pretty fancy. And then here also one of my favorite features, this climate unit here is a real one, easy to control while driving, straightforward design. And you have a lot of individual buttons, like the hotkeys here in the lower part though. And also a manual volume jog here, another one, but you can also control it easily from the steering wheel. And then the most significant facelift feature here, this dual screen curved design, 2 monitors left and right. And let's take a look at them. Important, by the way, for the sound installation. Here in the front we have dual insulated windows. Driver POV. Where's the Hyundai logo? Well, you might know the electric vehicles that have a charging indicator in here, and so they only put these dots here, but 4 rings? Is it an Audi? Yeah, and then here, real buttons, and also with this nice galvanized here, like this metal knurled thing. So this is very good to control, easy to control, nice, feels good also here for the volume, for example. And you can set this hotkey here, for example, to a shortcut to the speed limit, which then can be set to speed limit information. Then you don't have this beeping chime, for example. And this hotkey, for example, here, the second one, I have set to the smartphone mirroring function when I soon connect it. Then first of all, the instruments here, left side, they also see like hybrid specific gauges and so on. And there's also a head-up display available. And the main infotainment unit, like this, you have these individual tiles here, for example, and it's actually, let's say, quick enough. Most of the time, probably you use the CarPlay Android Auto, and you see here also is a wide integration. And you know, Leah is always checking here the sun visors for us. And here is interesting, you cannot extend it, the whole thing, but you can extend a small part of it, and then it blocks out the whole area. So yeah, why not doing it that way? Rear seats here, somewhat structured here on the top part. Then you also have these manual shades. They don't have the most
A little bit difficult,
correct.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, not sure why they make it that way around. Like most of the other shades around have these like these anchors here, like other way around. That's easier than this solution right here. Then a lot of undesired high gloss black material here, but you get also seat heating if you go for a higher trim, and nothing covered on the inside of the doors. And then the seats here in the rear, they also have the nice microfiber, so that's also with a premium look. Isofix here for the outside, and to change the angle you use this lever here in the lower part, and that's pretty helpful indeed, because when you sit like this you can move them further behind. It would be more like a sleeping, relaxing position. Also here when you put up the head restraint, or you sit more upright like this, and that way you could also fold the seats from here, but it's also available from from the trunk. And interesting is also that here there's a lever on the back, and then you can also, yeah, this is the one, then you can also here access a ski hatch. Other than that, here some cup holders, they are not adaptive though, but how everything folds, and that's a surprise. Okay. Is there any more money coming? So, so you know that from Vegas, right? You know, then the money comes, if you're lucky. Okay, 20 cents. Back to the review. This is live on Autogefühl. And here the headroom is 189, 6'2". My height, of course, not the headroom here, and still a lot of headroom left. And as for the legroom, so this is my tall driver seating position, and here there's like this recess, and it's not such a long vehicle, and for that you can see for tall adults it's actually fine. And then you have a separate climate unit here and 2 USB-C chargers down there. It's also possible to house 5 tall adults. Here the middle part also somewhat works. Yeah, maybe like for shorter trips, a little bit worse than with the knee stand from the seating position. But overall, I think the space they're offering here is decent and also good quality. Let's just imagine I have the ruler in one hand and then I have a backpack in the other hand. Well, we don't have to imagine, it's the way it is. Just the way it is. And then I approach the vehicle and the hatch just opens itself after a while. You can activate or deactivate that feature, and it's really coming very handy if you have your hands blocked and you can do anything. So, and then we can also measure the trunk for you. There we go. This is the length here, about 90 centimeters or 35 inches. Here the backpack also fits under the cover, and this is here 1 meter or 40 inches between the wheel arches, a little bit higher above that. This cover here has rails left and right, so that's actually pretty solid. And underneath here there's some more space. There we go. It's also nicely done here with like a rugged surface. You can fold this one up, so it's also possible. And you could also remove that whole thing. then to fold the seats, left
Oh, wow.
and right. Oh, this has a lot of power. Did it like even fold up again or something? Because it was so quick actually. There we go. I mean, if you put the head restraints up, it goes a little bit more down, but not like entirely flat. And the length here is 1 m 65 or 65 inches. So very well usable and easy solution and everything. And the height here is 75 centimeters or 29 inches. This middle part here also serves as a ski hedge, as I've just shown you then from the rear seats. Gotta say though, like the like all the sounds that the vehicle is emitting, like, you know, when you press something, all the beeping stuff, and it counts for Hyundai, Kia, and also Genesis for the whole corporation. It's just annoying, honestly. They should work on their sound design. I mean, just listen to that, you know, when you open it here normally, like the beep, beep, beep. I mean, so it's extremely loud and the chimes are very annoying. Like, oh, this is so unpleasant indeed. And some chimes, I mean, you could just erase. Some others maybe are necessary, maybe even by law, but then you can still work on the design that you make them more pleasant to the ear, you know what I mean? As for engines, on the North American market, you get the 2.5 liter naturally aspirated petrol engine. And then, especially for the, it's actually kind of heavy, gotta say that. So there we go, also proper dampening on the hood. European market, you go with the 1.6 liter turbo petrol engine, either pure turbo petrol or then the inbuilt hybrid based on the same engine, the one we have here today. Also available in North America, front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, here with a 215 horsepower. This one also available as a plug-in hybrid to charge externally. And last but not least, also a 1.6 liter diesel is available. So front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive versions are available. This version we have here today, 8.2 seconds in the acceleration figure. Welcome to Thomas's driving lounge with the Hyundai Tucson, and we're driving the 1.6 hybrid here. And before we just go for an acceleration here, at the moment, electric driving, so when I'm just keeping the speed steady and slowly and so on, we don't need the combustion engine. However, I can activate here also the sport mode, then the combustion engine is directly on and we can do an acceleration from 50 kilometers an hour to, let's see, 140, 150, and 160. That's enough for now. So decent acceleration figure from 0 to 100 is around 8 seconds here for the front-wheel drive version. For the hybrid, the all-wheel drive is a little bit slower. Yeah, it's a little bit more than 8 seconds actually, the front-wheel drive, and then a couple of tenths more for the all-wheel drive. Here the front-wheel drive version, which is enough. I think the acceleration is actually fine. It's enough. It's nothing explosive, but it is reasonable. Let's take it that way. Here at 140 kilometers an hour, wind noise is picking up a little bit. If you, for example, compare it to the VW Tiguan, there in that respect, I would say the Tiguan is more silent. However, if we consider the comparison to the Toyota RAV4, this one here is more silent. So with the Toyotas, they are awesome in reliability and always top of the rankings there. But the noise installation at higher speeds is never that good. It's because they don't pay so much attention to the German market, where we have higher speeds, and for most other markets it maybe doesn't play that role. And Hyundai, the corporation, they actually, even like a decade ago or something, even before that, they hired a lot of German engineers and they told them, let's make our cars more German. And that's the reason why they moved too close to them, actually, also in these respects. Actually, here at 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour, the noise insulation is also perfect, so it's not that loud. And that's like a usual motorway speed, or here towards 120 kilometers an hour, 70 miles an hour. We also have this one here equipped with the adaptive suspension, ECS they call it. I've activated also in the sport mode that we have the stiffer mode, and that is notably to feel not that much on the motorway in a negative sense, but here in the positive sense I have just more controlled feeling. Yeah, someone was asking if it's allowed to overtake on the right, and in general that's not allowed in Germany. So in general forbidden to overtake on the right. You can only overtake on the right actually if the vehicles on the left side are if the vehicles on the left side drive 60 kilometers, no, it's all on camera by the way, greetings to the police. So if on the left side the vehicles are driving 60 kilometers an hour or less, and then you are allowed to overtake on the right with a maximum surplus speed of 20 kilometers an hour. Like left side drives 60, then you are allowed to overtake on the right side with 80. Or, second case, if the motorways are being split and the one is then heading to the one direction and the other one to the other direction, but you're still driving parallel for a couple of seconds or something, then you can also already accelerate a little bit faster on the right. Yeah, that's the it's the law in Germany. But here's actually a nice motorway vehicle indeed, and usually I would go for the normal mode then, normal driving mode. Suspension is more forgiving then, definitely softer. It makes even more difference in the city. So when you're driving in the city with the sport mode, it's very, very uncomfortable because there are more bumps in the road and the surfaces rather change from time to time. Here everything is even on the motorway. So in the city definitely stick with the normal driving mode, and then the suspension is also softer. This mode, the sport mode with the suspension stiffer, is good, for example, when you hit some alpine passes and so on, you want to have some fun with the vehicle. Although it's not the primary vehicle to have fun with, let's take it that way. It's nice to drive, definitely, but not the most driving fun vehicle, so to speak. But it does a good job. So it does not give you the biggest SUV feeling. The Tiguan, for example, or the RAV4, or even also a Nissan Qashqai gives you more SUV driving feeling. This one here rather conveys a crossover driving feeling, which is, again, nothing where you can say this is good or bad. It is more matter of perspective and what you really want from that vehicle, you know. So that just depends what you find better or worse. And we can talk about the assistance systems. Let's check it out here. Left thumb activation. You can also activate or deactivate if you want to have the active lane keeping assist, so it's easy to activate or deactivate. And also in comparison to some of the competitors, I mean, it's a decent job here, keeping us in the lane. Sometimes there are a few too much corrections, I feel, but overall, let's say it's okay. Lane change here with the normal mode is fine. There again, it plays in favor of the vehicle that it's more this crossover direction than the high building SUV that doesn't shake up that much, for example. And this is also a situation when that would be maybe too much for you. You can then, of course, go to the sport mode. Then, for example, a lane change is also stiffer, and with, you know, like this, you get more feedback to the road, from the road, and so on. I also feel that we don't have too much roll left and right. That's not the thing. But sometimes, because Leah complained about that earlier, sometimes when you are on the gas, and then something changes, someone is suddenly going into your lane, and you're on the brake, and then like the diving of the vehicle to the front, that is actually stronger than the body roll to the sides, and not sure exactly why that is, but that is actually notable. And also in the city, sometimes it can happen when you are not too gentle with the throttle or the brake pedal. Again, nice lane change, going back to the normal mode, that you going a little bit like and it also has to do with the throttle and the brake input. So here when I'm on the motorway, you don't really feel that much, but here with at least with this hybrid automatic here, when you are in the basement garage, for example, or in the city, drive a little bit slower and then go like back and forth, brakes, throttle and so on, you have to be really gentle with it. So gotta get used to it, because the input is kind of spontaneous, instant, and sometimes that can put more stress on your passengers. Or for example, when you lift the brake and then you slide in the throttle and it makes like a hump forward, and you have to pay attention to that then in the basement garage, that you don't hit the wall or something like that, But that's again only thing you feel when driving in the city, not necessarily on the motorway. In the motorway it's actually good, 130 kilometers an hour now, so 80 miles an hour. Still okay from the wind noise, not the best in class, but definitely not the worst in class. So everything this vehicle does, it sets a good standard, you know. So you buy it, you get from what you expect, and it just delivers, you know. So I think they've made like this very good price performance offering. We talked about it exterior interior already, and they hold true for that also on the driving part. Maybe you've already seen here on camera these additional blind spot monitors. There's also something in the side mirror, but I also have these cameras here that always when I hit the turning indicator to the left or to the right, then there's each additional camera here from the side mirror showing me if there's another vehicle behind me or something. And yeah, here also when I'm doing some more lane changes, it's actually more fun. But yeah, maybe you've seen it now. So on the brakes, and it dives quite a bit in the front, notably. Then again, the suspension is set on the comfortable note in general. Unless you go with the sport mode, then you could also maybe get rid of that effect, at least when you keep it in that mode. Here at about 150 kilometers an hour, then it gets for me a little bit too noisy. But yeah, probably that's again this German thing. Oh, there's another Tucson. It's on the pre-facelift, I guess, because this one here is still pretty fresh actually. Oh, there's a motorcycle racer here in front of us, ducking down to reduce the wind resistance. So there we go. One more lane change here. And as for the hybrid system, here for example now, the combustion engine is off. So when I'm not constantly and hard on the throttle, here we have these rolling movements. Then we also gain back energy to the battery sometimes. When I'm slightly holding the speed, then the electric drive is assisting a little bit. Here at the moment now, recuperation once again, and then I'm slightly on the throttle. Now again the electric motor is helping. Combustion engine, now it is again active because I'm a little bit more on the throttle because I want to get past these vehicles here, and here at this moment it's still, you know, not a speed limit. So it's constantly changing, but the hybrid system is doing quite well. So nice transitions also between the different parts of the hybrid system. The only thing I sometimes realize is that the automatic transmission we have in here, not necessarily like when starting or when being in very high gears, but like in this mid-gear area there, like second, third, fourth gear, something like that. Sometimes we have like a notable jump in the gears, which is kind of unusual for this kind of automatic transmission we have here. It's nothing super bad, it's just that I noticed that and wanted to mention it. As for long-term driving, the seats are doing fairly well. It's just here for the elbow on the left side is nice. On the right side here, I do feel that when you're driving a little bit longer time, you want to rest your elbow then here to the inner side. It's a little bit too stiff, this covering here on the middle console. So this then can hurt a little bit at your bone. So yeah, usually I then lift my arm like this. And what I also noticed while driving here is if you're a tall person in the front, your knee is either hitting the middle console here at the climate unit, or when you put it a little bit more up, then your knee is hitting the stalk column for the shifting, you know. And yeah, so they probably thought about people having not too long legs. So if you have shorter legs than me, maybe it's not a problem at all for you. If you have the same size, you feel that it's not exactly most suitable for tall drivers. Here, once again, when I'm getting off the motorway, then the combustion engine shuts off. Hybrid driving, it's also silent. It also fits to the vehicle, especially when you have like some maneuvering inside the city, or for example in basement garage. It's also nice to have this additional element of calmness, serenity, and so on. So I think it fits the vehicle very well, and the hybrid system works. And the plug-in hybrids not necessarily make more sense because they're more expensive, unless you have a big subsidizing scheme running in the government of your country. and they add more weight to the vehicle, of course, and you're running both systems, so to speak. And the inbuilt hybrid here plays a favor for everyone who has not a proper charging infrastructure yet. So that can be a cool thing. And yeah, here, for example, just for a few seconds, combustion engine hops on. And yeah, if you now think about reliability, I mean, these systems here have been proven. What is clear is that when the engine is still cold and then you suddenly hammer it, that's, I think that guy is stopping there in the front, right? Yeah, so we gotta... it's like the daily war on the streets. Like, I mean, this guy is stopping in the middle of the road, and then people wonder why he's doing that, and then like the guy who stopped complains. Yeah, that's always the thing here on the roads, right? So here once again in the hybrid mode, and this is also pretty cool on here that we have more elements, especially when you're driving slowly without local emissions. So that's at least a contribution to that. Overall, very consistent in everything this car delivers here also on the road. Consumption around 7 liters on 1 kilometers, 34 mpg US, 41 mpg UK for the inbuilt hybrid. And if you don't drive too fast, if you drive like me on the German Autobahn, then it's rather 8 liters taking height. Then it's more like 8 liters on 1 kilometer.
He drives alone.
Yeah, okay. With Leah, I drive a little bit slow. So that would be like really high-speed German Autobahn. That would be more like 8 liters on 1 kilometers. So then more like in the 30 mpg US, 35 mpg UK region. And then of course the inbuilt hybrid doesn't really make much sense. It more makes sense if you have a lot of city driving and so on, then you can use also this hybrid driving. On the motorway, it's rather a negative, I would say. Don't using it that much, just carrying more weight. But it makes more sense. You have better consumption figures than when you also have this, this hybrid effect than in city and slow driving. Then pricing in the US, the Tucson starts at $28,000. That's a great pricing. And even a high trim hybrid, for example, at 37,000 euros or something like that. So that's also what's making it so attractive. It looks good, it drives nice, the build quality interior is good, and also the pricing is attractive. So one of the hot picks definitely in the compact SUV segment. The European prices, Germany, once again, as we know, are more expensive. Yes, the VAT has to be added to that one, but the VAT is not that high in the US actually. But here, actually, a fully spec'd one, as it stands right now, 52,000 euros. That's still less expensive than, for example, a fully spec'd VW Tiguan, for example. And an entry would be already like about 35,000 euros, something like that. So just from the list price, I think, together with the Nissan Qashqai, one of the best offerings as for price-performance ratio. And it just ticks a lot or checks a lot of boxes. That's what this car is all about. A full review of the updated Ford Kuga, how it's called in the EU, or Ford Escape, how it's called in the Northern American market. Everything you need to know about this restyling here, updates on the interior, and how good is it actually to the existing competitors. We'll find out with Thomas Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. In the front, the grille has been updated, has a more present front here, looks pretty cool. And the daytime running light, you can see here in the middle, it runs through, so that looks really fancy. It's an active X trim here, it's a top trim in the EU, and here it has then these contrasting lower silver parts to look even more expressive. So I really like this restyling in the front. You also get new headlamps. As for the main headlamp unit, optional matrix LED, the ones we have also right here, as you can see. A couple of times now, the Ford Kuga in the EU has secured the title of the best-selling plug-in hybrid SUV. We'll also get into the details of the plug-in hybrid system here for the Kuga very soon. As for the side profile, in this compact SUV segment, it's not too long, but also not too small. 4.60 meters or 181 inches. Wheels go from 17 to 20 inch. These here are somewhat in between 19 inch, but I think a very sporty styling indeed for an SUV. Do you like that actually? Plug-in hybrid charging cap is here already in the front, by the way. 3.7 kilowatt charging maximum, not too quick. So from 0 to 100% at the wallbox at home, it takes about 4 hours then actually to recharge this 10.7 kilowatt net battery. So it will give you an electric range of about 50 kilometers or 30 miles as for the realistic facts. Soon more to the engine compartment. Here we have the plain black frames around, just this rubber material. This is maybe not the most premium look, I feel, but this top trim once again has the silver contrast in the lower part. I think that looks pretty cool, makes the vehicle more interesting. Then towards the rear, tail lamps here with a rather modern signature already, so that's good. And once again, the silver contrast here in the lower part. And real exhaust tips we have here, no fake exhaust tips. Of course, you can also get your fake exhaust police t-shirt here from Autogefühl or this t-shirt in our shop. Towing is 1.6 ton up to 2.1 tons, so maximum 3,500 pounds. So it really depends on the engine version if you have front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Turning indicators in the front, actually pretty cool because they're so wide, very visible, also a design function. However, in the rear, I found them just too tiny. Classic Ford key fob, does the job, light and fits good in the pocket. Then there's also the keyless entry. When you press here, you close it, and door closing sound. Yeah, not a specialty of Ford, let's take it that way. However, you also have to think about there's this cool mechanism, which is a specialty of Ford. There we go with this door sill protector. And that's a really nice thing. Yeah, pretty cool. And also just the rubber that you don't hit anything or maybe another door and so on. You just have to be aware of it, that it's there. It's also for the rear doors. And the thing is that when you get out again, you could, for example, get stuck here. So yeah, always keep enough distance to the doors. Not that anything of that would have happened today to someone. Sorry about that. Then inside of the door, soft touch here in the top part. Then we have this wooden style here, which is actually very well done, I have to say. Soft touch for your elbow. However, all hard pack at the inside of the doors here. Then Active X entry badge. Yeah, there we go. And you either get fabric seats or a fabric leatherette mix, or this here a microfiber leatherette mix. Here the leatherette they call Sensación or Active X, is their brand name. Is very good quality, both from the leatherette and also from the microfiber, and also the steering wheel with a high-grade leatherette that really feels really nicely. And also soft and plush, so good build quality in that respect, and real buttons at the steering wheel too. Let's take a seat. Take a seat, young Skywalker. So here 1.89 m, 6'2", a lot of headroom left, and it is not that soft. It's actually quite sporty in the bolstering, but not in a way that it's uncomfortable. So I'm happy with that. Upright seating position, you already feel like in a grown-up SUV. So really happy with the overall seat setup here. Actually, this top trim does lift it into a higher area, and this also here, the electric seat goes forward, backward, up and down as well. You also have an electric lumbar support, steering wheel manual, up and down, in and out. Cockpit overview, also turn that on. Nice visualizations, by the way, always when you turn on or off the screen, it looks pretty fancy indeed. And then we have more of this wooden atmosphere here around. You also hear that it has this matte surface, so that's actually quite cool. Somewhat soft touch here also on the top dashboard. Just put off the AC, then it's not that loud. Then the glove box here is also somewhat damaged, and it's actually quite spacious. And we have some manual controls left here. For example, we have a manual volume jog right here. Then also a button for the driving mode is right here in the lower part. And further down below, USB-C or USB-A charging, inductive charging pad, not cooled however, so the phone will overheat. Then the cup holders are adaptive, and they're also illuminated actually when it's dark. It's pretty cool. And this shifting lever here, which is actually quite decent, because here this then reverse, neutral, D, even here a low gear. So yeah, look at that. Then this middle console, some more space here. This is also soft for the elbow. This is not that heavily attached, but you have more space underneath here for a cable or something, and then even more here. Driver POV, left side you control the cruise control, right side you can switch through different settings here in the digital instruments, for example. They are very clear to read, with the large digital speedometer, 12.3 inch updated, and this new 13 inch screen here, Sync 4, and this here also has double the CPU power now with some nice visualizations, for example. However, we have to say it is still not, let's say, the quickest overall in all the systems you hear. Yeah, there are better systems, but it does the job. Climate control is, however, here just digital like this, or then press plus minus here. Seat heating and steering wheel heating is, however, quite good to reach. And this is the view of the head-up display with all the possible contents. Yeah, it is a separate layer, so when I close it, there we go, disappears. You can also connect Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Also here, when you press this one, then either this with a split screen, or it goes then like this full screen, and cable connection or wireless, both possible. Also the rear doors here have this door sill protection, so that's really good. Definitely clever idea. Ford introduced that, and Skoda actually took that over as well. Then rear doors here, hard pack, but you have this nice structured cover here at least. It doesn't open too wide here, that rear door, so that might be a problem to get in child seats and out again. However, the ISOFIX are on the outside seats here, so they are actually easily accessible. And then we have these sliding seats here in the rear, 1/3, 2/3 split. The only thing is when you like feel it in the lower part, there where you actually put up this lever, is directly also a cable you can actually touch, probably the one for the rear seat heating, because there is rear seat heating available, at least here in this very trim. And underneath the USB-C charging. This then here the 2/3 split then here also for the slidable bench, but of course a practical thing. You can make trunk a little bit longer then, and you can also adjust the inclination here, this more upright position, of course head restraint rather up, and also more backward position. So also very flexible here, together with cup holders. Also very good build quality here, adaptive, and also here how it like, that sounds just good, you know, and it's also keeping it in place when it folds down and you put it up again and so on. Headroom with 189, 6'2", still enough headroom left. And the legroom thing is, yeah, you need to put the seat a little bit higher, and then the knees, or when you put your feet more underneath, then it fits here with the recess. So it's not like a bunch of space, but it's also not the longest vehicle. And as I said, this recess can be better used when either you put your feet more under the seat or when it's a little bit higher, and then it's fine. Overall, a versatile car also here in the rear, and it's also comfortable in the seating here with the microfiber surface and so on. Trunk or boot at 410 liters, electric hatch we have here. So this top cover here is actually attached at the top part. So this, I mean, on the one hand it looks like a wobbly solution, on the other hand it does adapt then to luggage that is underneath, and it leaves the area here also free directly. This is also a quite nice solution, I feel. Then right side, left side, easy to fold around, that's cool. 1.40 meters in width. The normal length is about 85 centimeters or 33 inches, and the length to the seat as we would be driving here is like 160 in meters or 63 inches. And we have some space underneath. So yeah, it's first of all space underneath. There's the charging cable also you can store there. And now you can do, now Leah can now Leah can one more time go with the yay, because yes, we have the electric towing hook right here, and you have to press it twice. And now listen also to the sound. This is first, pressing twice.
Like a shaver, maybe?
That sounds like a shaver, right? Really funny, but yeah, I mean, it's good that we can, and it beeps also, and now everyone in the neighborhood knows that we're here. I was really happy with the build quality in the interior and the front, but here, backside of the trunk area like this, yeah, maybe that needs some more fixing, doesn't it? Engines, even for Europe, no diesel anymore now since the update now. You either get the 1.5 liter 3-cylinder turbo or a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, then either as inbuilt hybrid or here as a plug-in hybrid and with this 10.7 kilowatt hour net battery, so for 50 kilometers or 30 miles of pure electric range approximately, and some 6 liters on 1 kilometers or 39 mpg US, more than 40 and like 46 mpg UK for the petrol consumption if you use some, of the recuperation still at the same time. So overall, actually quite good values. Sport mode. Ooh. Yeah. So that was 180 kilometers an hour, 50 to 180. With the 2.5 liter plug-in hybrid we have here, the 4-cylinder. And I charge it to 100% or like 96%. Before that we have the full power here and acceleration. On paper it's 7.3 seconds to 100 kilometers an hour, and it was actually quite decent. Here in the sport mode we have the combined power then of the combustion engine and also with the electric boost. This one here front wheel drive only. The inbuilt hybrid would also be available as the full all-wheel drive. And of course we test the vehicles here on the German Autobahn to see what they are made of at higher speeds. And I have to say that at this point, not at 120, not at 130. Do you also hear that? Like, not yet, but now,
Yeah.
above 130.
Yeah.
What is it? That's the rear seat belt, right?
Yeah.
Like the rear seat belt on the right side is like giving, I don't know, this needs to be probably better plugged in, that it doesn't make that sound. Stuff like that you only notice when you drive really, really quick. But noise insulation wise here at now 150 kilometers an hour, I think it's quite decent. Or would you say?
Yeah,
Leah is an
pretty good.
expert on noise insulation because sometimes then she knows it's maybe a little bit different or so. It's always good when I agree with her. That's always good, right? It's the best. Yes, that gets the Leah stamp, definitely. So it behaves very well here at 150, 160. Let's do a lane change here. It's in the sport mode. Good to control. Also nice natural feeling from the steering. Like that actually. Good grip. So once again, Ford does very good suspensions. They have been doing that actually for quite a long time. Yeah, maybe not when it's like semi-rigid axles or something in base Mustang versions or so, but in their normal vehicles and so on. So yeah, very good 19-inch wheels here, and although these are rather large, still not uncomfortable or something like that. Then also with a good seating comfort. Here now more than 160 kilometers an hour, then it gets kind of noisy here in this cabin, but also comparing it to competitors, it behaves very, very well here, definitely. So maybe I wouldn't drive 160 or so, then it gets too noisy, but other than that, it's really nice. I always see the wiring of the front heated windshield, by the way. Some don't see it. I always see it somehow. And we can also back here to the normal mode. And in that normal mode, by the way, you can leave it on auto EV. Then the vehicle picks itself if it's driving electric or not. You can also go to EV now. Then the electric driving is predominantly happening until the battery is empty, or maybe you floor it down or something. So this is something you can just adjust. What is your main use case of that vehicle, and do you commute pure electric and then recharge again or something like that? And you can pick it here in the driving modes. You can access it here in the lower part, and then this menu stays actually until you select something else or so. So I feel that on the motorway the steering is really good actually, because it gives you a natural steering feeling. But since nowadays so many cars are steered by wire and there is actually, let's say, no feedback at all from the steering wheel, this is rather uncommon nowadays. So the thing is that in the city or so, when there are like some potholes, there's like the automatic traffic alert.
Verkehrsservice.
Yeah, listen and repeat. Verkehrsservice. So when I want to show you here when I'm steering, and something is happening on the road. then I do get a feeling for that. And when there's a pothole and so on, and in the city, it can be a little bit distracting even when there are like some, you know, maybe like some ruts or so, then it really draws the vehicle in. And to me, this is, I found it actually better when I have a connection to the vehicle, but Leah was a little bit irritated by that. She didn't like that much. She likes it with more assist and so on. And
It's like driving a go-kart.
yeah, like driving a go-kart, she says. So maybe here in the city when there are potholes and so on, it's maybe a little bit too much, you know. So maybe there's a good compromise in between. But I really have to say, me personally, I prefer more feeling to the vehicle than there's no feeling at all, which is the case for a lot of vehicles here today. So then we go to this S combination right here. It's always a nice test, and it is actually also a fun vehicle. It's not too long. It also doesn't lean too much in the corner. You can accelerate out, and even though it's front-wheel drive, there's enough power here. Even if you are in the normal mode, that's totally fine. Then you can also gain back some power, of course, when you are on the brakes. Also shows me here in the instruments. It is a very fun SUV to drive. I like it. So good driving behavior, good driving fun. That's pretty cool actually. So you know, once again, situation where we accelerate onto the motorway, just in the normal mode, and also the combustion engine is more activated again. Yeah, I mean, it sounds of course a little bit that it's struggling in a way. Then again, you have to say they did not downsize it. It's a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, which is really fine for a vehicle of that size, and most of the times you will use it rather at low RPM, and that's of course also good for long-term durability and so on, whereas most other vehicles have way less displacement. So this is actually a good choice that we have a lot of displacement considering the cylinders and considering the horsepower count. That's I think pretty cool actually. Now we are on the motorway. One more lane change, yeah, really nice behavior. Let's check out the assistance systems. I'm setting here the cruise control. Distance to the car in front of me, or at the moment very far, is being kept. And also here with active lane keeping. Let's see how smooth this is actually. Here so far, it's rather straight, but not too many overcorrections or something. Here, by the way, picking the temperature while driving is not always ideal, I would say. Physical interface would be better, but at least it always stays in that area. Yeah, assistance systems wise, doing a good job so far. There's also a blind spot monitor available. Let's see if we can induce that somehow. But here it feels actually at home on the motorway. I could also imagine driving a longer way with this vehicle now here. No problem at all actually. The blind spot monitor is built into the side mirrors, but glad there's not so much traffic, so there's not so much coming from behind there. Maybe there's one vehicle there. I think it's a competitor here. Might that be a Skoda Kodiaq? And then we should see the blind spot monitor right there. There it is. When I set the turning indicator then it's always flashing. Yeah, it is actually a Kodiaq. Yeah. That's also one of my hobbies, like seeing just tail lamps or something, or cars. Leah is like, this guy is...
it's cute.
Okay, at least it's cute. Thank you so much. Yeah, you know, like...
And I do it also.
Yeah, she has started to do that as well, like seeing that, you know, like...
She was always like, oh my god!
Yeah, she realized that, or when we were like at this filming of the Panamera and there was like a distant sound, and she was like, wait a minute, Thomas, wasn't it a Porsche 911 exhaust? And I was like, oh, that's my girl! Yeah, that's stuff that's important to me, you know, car nerd stuff, definitely. But very solid from everything that the Ford Kuga is presenting us here. About pricing, surprisingly low entry prices in the US at $28,000, 32,000 pounds in the UK. In Germany, the entry price is already higher at about 40,000 euros, and it always depends if you go low spec or high spec. But you can also buy this vehicle here in a low spec and already profit from the good dimensions. You know, it's not too long on the exterior, still offers enough space and so on. So it's not the most fancy SUV out there, but it does its job. And that's why it's still actually quite popular. And I also think so. It just delivers on all the different aspects in a very good way, I feel actually. As this vehicle standing here right now, 57,000 euros or 57,500 actually, the equipped test vehicle, plug-in hybrid, highest trim and so on. And then of course it already gets quite expensive. Yeah, then you better get a good leasing rate for that. What do you think about the new Ford Kuga here or the updated Ford Escape? Tell me in the comments. This is here the updated Nissan Qashqai, also known as Rogue Sport, and we're going to take a look here at the facelifted model. Boy, has it changed in the front. All the details you need to know about the supposed to be one of the last affordable compact SUVs. I'm Thomas, this is Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. The front here is supposed to remind you of Japanese armor, you know, like old armor that's kind of like overlapping. So I think a very interesting job in the front and definitely a completely different look. New LED lamps, also the daytime running light here is really slim in the integration. And if you hit the turning indicator with this top LED trim, then you also see now a cascading form in the front. Actually a beautiful job, as well as the Fuji red color, very expressive red color. And design is also this one new top trim, supposed to be very sporty on the exterior. Pros and cons to come in the interior, soon more about that. Wheels from 17 to 20 inch. These here are the biggest 20-inch wheels, and they also now have the wheel arches in the vehicle color, so no contrasting wheel arches, at least in here in this trim. You can also get a contrasting roof, in this case then here in black, and the length is 4.43 meters or 174 inches. Design wise, I think really pleasing to the eye, and the special thing is if you go for a low trim, you already get a quite attractive car, you know, price wise, but also design wise. This is what's making the Qashqai here so special. That's why it's also here good, very good selling in the numbers, and produced also in the UK in Sunderland. Then towards the rear, new tail lamps, also very modern design, three-dimensional on the inside, and also a pretty clean look in the lower part, overall quite likable. E-Power, there's a badge at the rear and also at the side. What does it mean? This is actually the 1.5 liter 3-cylinder hybrid, where the combustion engine serves as a generator, but the wheels itself, they are driven electrically. Front-wheel drive as an alternative. You can also get a 1.3 liter 4-cylinder mild hybrid. That one then, front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, manual or automatic. Here with this generator hybrid system, you only get front-wheel drive and automatic. I like this key fob here, slim and actually good quality, no high gloss stuff and so on. Then door closing sound is solid, I would say. Let's check out the rear. Yeah, actually nice. And then inside of the doors in the front is also soft touch here in the top. And then this one here is the either Tecna Plus or the N-Design trim, and this one then comes with Alcantara at the inside of the doors. However, no covering of the inside doors here at the pockets. And then the interior, steering wheel with physical buttons. Assistance system upgrade is also one of the key things here, but you can also easily deactivate them. These seats here are unfortunately only animal skin in the top trims, Tecna Plus and the N-Design. However, if you go for the lower trims, like the Tecna without the Plus trim, you get a quilted leather red. That would look kind of similar, but even more exclusive. Or you can go for a fabric leather red mix in the N connector trim, or the Ascenta trim, this pure fabric seats. And the ergonomics of the seats is very good actually. So with 189 or 6'2", I still have enough headroom left. I find a good seating position. Steering wheel here, manual in and out, very easy. It's very light to control, so you have to not like like bang it all the way through here on top or in and out. But yeah, you can find a good position for that. So I like the classic user interface. Most of that is manual. Electric seats you have here. Yeah, and the thing is that it feels like a grown-up SUV already. I like that. Cockpit perspective. Here in this top trim, you also get more Alcantara at the dashboard. That's actually a nice job. And with this white contrast stripe here. And what I really appreciate here, you have a manual climate unit. Here the fan speed and also here the temperature. Very large, easy to control also while driving. Separate button for the seat heating. I really appreciate that actually. Middle console. This shifting lever for the automatic gearbox here. Or for the, it's actually just automatic drive. Let's take it that way because it drives electric. Here, reverse drive mode, and then the B mode is more recuperation. And then you have also a sport mode where you get a little bit more power than or throttle input. E pedal, this one is then also higher recuperation, and EV that you even more stressed EV driving, but usually it's not that important. You just let the car do its thing. The inductive charging pad is not cooled, so the smartphone will overheat there. Then the cup holders are not adaptive. This is more simple. At some point the price needs to be represented. This armrest here, nice covering with the Alcantara, and then you have this split either like this, or you open it with the second one below, and then you have more space underneath, also with 2 USB-C chargers. And then you also have 2 more USB-C chargers at the rear part for the rear seats. Infotainment system upgrade. You now have this bigger and widescreen view, Google built in. Means you also have here the native Google Maps support. At the same time, it also supports Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, so this is also possible. You can switch that. Yeah, so this is a big step forward, and I think it's a good decision just to let Google do its thing, and you as a car manufacturer, you know, you care about your things. In the top trim, you also have an interesting camera system. You can switch through different camera modes, rear view camera, full screen, or here this under the bonnet view. So when you drive, it builds up a past image underneath the bonnet virtually, and then you see what's actually between the wheels that you don't damage anything. And cockpit POV here with new digital instruments. And interesting is what I said earlier here, when you press here, then you can go to these driver assistance custom mode and activate it. And then, for example, here, lane keeping assist can be deactivated, or also this speed warning chime. It can be all deactivated with one set of a button here. You always have to do it new, but you can have your custom settings. That's very interesting. And you can also get here an optional head-up display. And Leah is testing 2 more features for you. First of all, quality here of the glove box. Yeah, it's actually dampened quite nicely, so that's good. Also good closing sound. And on the top, you also have this storage then for the sunglasses. Pretty cool here, these rear doors. Look at that, they open basically 90 degrees. That's very good for the access for child seats in and out. Hard pack here on the top part, but then here in the high trim, nice Alcantara insert. And you also have decent comfort here if it works legroom wise, because it's not a long vehicle. Here for 4 tall adults, it barely works, I would say. It's okay, also headroom wise, but again, the package is still quite good because it's not such a long vehicle. Then when you fold down this, the cup holders are not really adaptive and pretty shallow, so I have to watch out for that with the kids and so on. And you cannot adjust the back part here when you fold that here. It either folds or is in place. There is no possibility to adjust the angle or something. Isofix here on the outside parts, that's maybe then more important. Trunk or boot, around 500 liters, 480 liters with the all-wheel drive, then you lose a little bit. Let's take a look here. What's quite astonishing is here in the width, it's like 1 meters 10 almost, or yeah, almost 44 inches. That's actually quite cool. And the normal length is limited 85 centimeters or 34 inches. And here you can see normal luggage fits in there. At the moment, it doesn't seem that high though. But what you can do is here, look at that, these splitters, they have done that to have an even loading floor. I've already folded 2/3 of the seats. Another 1/3 is possible. You have to go around for that though. Here, and then you have to split here. You can put like a backpack in there upright to have a split, not flying all over the place. Underneath, yeah, there's not much space left than there. And you can also remove that completely, have a second split here, or take that both out then to get the maximum height. And this then here the full setup when I also fold the other part. But then you see you always have to fold this front seat a little bit more forward. Sport mode. Plop. That was 0 to 90 kilometers an hour. Now reducing to 70 again. Yeah, very interesting. It was reasonably quick, and you feel the electric drive, and then when you accelerate hard, then also the RPMs go higher because the generator is working more. Here with this true hybrid version, as I said, engine is working as a generator, the wheels are driven electrically. Very interesting system. The acceleration figure here for this one here, which is the 1.5 liter 3-cylinder hybrid, around 8 seconds to 1 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour. Whereas with the, it's always a little bit complicated, the other engine has a cylinder more, 4-cylinder, but then less displacement, 1.3 liter. Also pretty interesting, isn't it? That one is, depending on the version, manual, automatic, overdrive, front-wheel drive, between 10 and 9 seconds in the acceleration, so 1 to 2 seconds slower than this one here. Actually, very interesting. Then when I want to turn off or on some assistance systems here, easily done with 2 clicks on the steering wheel. I like that actually. So that's actually pretty cool. And also when I want to reset the fuel meter also on, that we can give you an exact figure without that hard acceleration. Also very easy to reset everything. I can also go back to the normal or the standard mode, or even to the eco mode, boosting a little bit the eco driving. Usually when I go off the throttle, I'm just rolling. I can also go to the B mode, then I have heavier recuperation directly when I lift the throttle. But when I'm in D mode, I can also do some recuperation here with the brake pedal. So that's also possible. It's more matter of preference what you really like. The interesting thing is that when you have enough buffer in the battery, especially when you drive locally, slow speeds around town, then sometimes the generator isn't even running, for example. But most of the time it is running, and then you might wonder, like, what is the reason for this? And the sense behind that is actually that they say, hey, we put that one in an optimum state, we let it run at a constant RPM level, then it is more efficient than it would be directly connected to the wheels and always, varying in the RPM and going really high RPM level and so on. This is the basic system behind that. Honda is also using a similar system. The main difference is that here with Nissan system, you are only always driving electric, the wheels directly, whereas the Honda system can also directly power the wheels from the combustion engine and has this kind of like third state as well. So the Honda system is in a way even more complicated, I would say. The Nissan system a little bit simpler, but the question is, of course, at the end of the day, and we'll keep you updated towards the end of the review, if it's making sense consumption-wise and so on. So this will be very interesting. Here the turning indicator, by the way, feels sometimes a little bit, let's say, unfinished, especially when you do this tipping thing. That could give you a little bit more quality feedback. The rest of the interior also while driving makes actually a pretty good impression. So there you don't feel that this one is actually still cheaper than most of its competitors. So more and more competitors have reasonably rose in the prices. This one not too much, just because here with this facelift, they basically canceled the very, very base trim level, which not too many people went for. That's the main reason why the price went up. Other than that, it's in comparison to most other cars in this segment, still relatively affordable, and I think you have to applaud them for that. Here in these traffic situations, it's actually good that you can, once again, only drive electrically. It's very good also to reduce emissions and so on. And what is being done where and when, usually you don't really feel that as a driver or as a customer. However, you can also here in these front instruments go through these different visualizations. Then you first have to find it because it's a little bit hidden. There it is, energy flow. And then, for example, here you see at the moment just the battery and then to the wheels. So at this moment the combustion engine is not on. Now it's on again. And we didn't even hear that. So you rather hear the combustion engine when you're really hammering the throttle like we did initially with the acceleration. Then you do feel that actually. But it's always, constant back and forth. But that's also that you just let the car do its thing, and that's basically it. Here the noise level at the moment here is 70 kilometers an hour. Is quite good actually. 20-inch wheels. I was afraid that it's maybe getting too bumpy. But actually the suspension is not set on a too stiff note, and even when I'm running through some potholes, it's astonishingly okay. Very often when we have vehicles with very large wheels, they get very rough and uncomfortable. But here I think it's still okay. It will still be more comfortable if you stick with the smaller wheels. But if you want that extra design kick on the exterior, I think you can still live with this comfort. The steering itself from the feeling is really nice. It feels very natural, and on the one hand you don't have to steer so much, but also the fine commands and transport it to the road. It's not overreacting at all. It also reminds me of the Mazda steerings, especially like in X5, CX5, CX30 and so on. Maybe not for the very large new SUVs, that's a little bit different, but very nice and sporty steering feeling, so I like it. And also that I can manual control everything while driving, like here the rear buttons at the steering wheel, the rear climate knobs, I can easily turn that while driving, so I like this classic user interface that is making it really relaxing in the drive. And all the facelift changes also with the new screen and so on give me a little bit more sense of sophistication here with the facelift if I compare the pre-facelift model. Just this turning stalk, I mean, I really try to pay attention to all these details. So yeah, when you hammer it in, it's okay actually, but when you do like this tipping gesture, just like feels a little bit off. Maybe the engineers could tune that at some point or so. And meanwhile, I've also deactivated most of the assistance systems, but I can also easily activate them again and test them. That's of course also a good thing. On the right side, then you can also activate this adaptive cruise control, for example, set the speed. And here is also the one, because they've upgraded the assistance system. This was also part here of the facelift, more standard assistance systems, and they are also more elaborate than before here. Now active lane keeping assist, the street is also bending slightly to the right, and here so far so good. It's not a very clear marking here in the middle of the road. Let's see if the vehicle realizes that. Yeah, I'm not steering, I'm just pretending to be steering basically. Of course you have to hold on to the steering wheel, that's a level 2 system. It's not meant to be driving autonomously, but so far actually quite impressive. I'll also gather some more experience with that and tell you later on if there was anything negative or so. But so far, also assistance system-wise, I think overall a good performance. And some dynamic driving, once again, very likable steering feeling. So it is also a lot of fun to drive this one. And I think when we then once again compare the Tiguan, where I pay way more money for, is it really worth it, you know? And I think it's very good performance here. So fun-wise, comfort-wise, that you can easily say, hey, I really want to save some money and go for a more affordable vehicle. And I think this is what the Qashqai really masters, especially when you keep it mid-trim or low trim. So it feels also very compact. It is not a very long SUV, and that's why it's also that good in the driving fun. You don't carry that much, you know, just dimension with you. The only thing I did feel was negative, I just found out here when I was driving a little bit longer, that's not that good from the build quality here. Like this high gloss black covering on the steering wheel, and when you are resting your thumb on it or maybe press a little bit there, it's not that we don't have it as well in an Audi now at the dashboard, that was also the case, but this definitely has to be mentioned. So yeah, they should have come up with a better idea here at the steering wheel. But as I said, the steering feeling itself, really good, and I really also enjoy these winding corners here. Pricing, for example, for the UK market, around £30,000 in the entry-level model, up to £46,000, like with all the bells and whistles and so on. Euros like 34,000 euros, up to 50,000 euros, for example, German reference price. So you see that in the low entry price level, it can really beat the competitors. It's still one of the affordable cockpit SUVs, and I would, in the interior, to go animal free, you know, anyway, recommend one of the lower trim levels and also have a more breathable seat, like a fabric seat and so on. So I think then the car really makes sense. You already get a quite extractive exterior design, and with the low trim level, you can really say, hey, I pay like half the price than a new Volkswagen Tiguan with all the bells and whistles. If you go then really high trim level, as it stands here right now, then you go towards 50,000 euros. Then of course you can already consider other competitors as for that. This color here, by the way, ocean blue it's called, but yeah, actually it's more dark greenish. What do you think? Consumption, a little bit more than 40 mpg US, a little bit more than 50 mpg UK, so 5.5 liters on 100 kilometers. If you have more motorway share, consumption will be better. If you have less motorway share, more city share, and also using more of topography changes where you can use the recuperation effect of this engine. And this is also the main aspect. If you have the hybrid, the recuperation, so gaining back the energy, that is the main aspect. That the combustion engine is basically cut off from the wheels, that is not the main aspect. So the hybrid systems also work when they directly power the wheels, like with Toyota or with Honda, where they offer basically both. So that is not the main aspect. Really using recuperation effect in topography changes will give you best efficiency gains, but it's also not that efficient that you can actually explain that this whole effort would make sense. It's good, but it's also not extraordinary from this hybrid system as for the whole result. But overall, a very good performance here from the Nissan Qashqai facelift. One of the most sold SUVs worldwide is still the Honda CR-V. Why is that actually? And is it the same, or will it be the same in this new generation here? We're going to find out with Thomas Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go here with the front, and I really have to say, I love it. Not only that it's a nice blue color, but look at that front grille. It looks really strong and almost kind of off-road-ish, whereas more and more SUVs go in the very round direction and streamlined, so to speak. This one with a very cool, strong design, here also with the daytime running light integration. So I love it design-wise. That's also one of the main reasons why people still go for the CR-V. Here in the side profile we can see 4.71 m or 185 inches. It's about 8 centimeters or 3 inches longer than the predecessor, so a little bit longer than before. Wheels here, in this case, black with 18-inch. You can also get 19-inch wheels. These are in this case then here also winter tires. And once again, a very upright design, more focused on the space on the inside, because the second reason why people go for the CR-V is it has like an ideal size. It's not too big, but it's also not too small, and it always has a lot of space on the inside, so also families go for the CR-V. Here in the rear, vertical design of the tail lamps, I think is also rather a type. Wait a minute. Isn't that, don't you see like Volvo, you know, like Volvo XC60? Michelle also thought that. Yeah, definitely Volvo design in the rear, right? But I mean, in a good way, you know, isn't it? And here in the lower part, Autogefühl fake exhaust police here. These are pure fake exhaust. Yeah, I think they could have lived without it. By the way, here it says CR-V AWD, so that's an all-wheel drive version, front plus rear on demand, that's the system. And here it says EHEV, so we'll soon talk about the different engines. But there's one difference already here in the rear, I can tell you, it's the towing. With the inbuilt hybrid, 750 kilograms of towing. With the plug-in hybrid, it's actually double, 1.5 tons. And then again, once again, different for the pure petrol engine that you can get in the US. And you might see that in the front, next to the increased wheelbase. Here you can see wider tracks now. And we'll see in the driving part if this also translates into a better drive. So on the Northern American market, you can get a 1.5 liter turbo, that's like the entry-level engine. And here in European market, you only get here the inbuilt hybrid. That works in a very interesting way, 3 different ways. It can directly power the wheels, the combustion engine. It can drive electric, and also the combustion engine can serve as a generator. So 3 different ways of driving with that one. And then there's also a plug-in hybrid available now, so you can recharge that one externally. The inbuilt hybrid will be the more important engine sales-wise, however. Key fob, nothing special, but also nothing bad at all. Let's check out the door closing sound. It's actually nice and solid. Also here from the panel gaps and so on. Also very massive, this door handle. Then inside of the doors is also a soft touch and also a structure. So that is nicely done. Look at that inlet here, beautiful. Also the handle. Oh, some galvanization also around the window levers. So I like the build quality. Just no felt inside covering here. Yeah, but so far looks really good. Then the steering wheel with real buttons control, and even has some clicking sounds. It's cool. Also straightforward design, heated steering wheel, button on the steering wheel. I love that. And they have this mesh structure here on the dashboard. Here at the air vents, for example, it continues further on to the cockpit, and soft touch also on the top part here with a structure. This looks like really good build quality. The only thing is here in Europe, so these seats are the only ones you can get. It's a mix of leatherette and animal leather, so I'm not sure which part is which one, but that's the only one you can get in Europe now. So far, you could always get the fabric seats as well. You can still get them in the US, and I think they should also offer it as an entry in the European market to be more animal friendly. Then here, this is the version with panoramic roof, but still some headroom left with 189 or 6'2". Yeah, but this is a real panoramic roof still. You can open as well. Wow. It's actually not that loud from the mechanism and opens quite wide. There we go. So I like that. Yeah, CR-V convertible. You can also apply the electric shade to the panoramic roof, by the way, so when it's really, really sunny. Then here the cockpit. Wow, that looks really premium, I have to say. Look at that. Here this mesh structure looks sports car-like. Then once again the soft touch dashboard. And you would start in some base versions, for example on the Northern American market, in 7-inch with the screen. This is here the 9-inch screen, standard in Europe. And it still has a manual control here with the volume knob. That's cool. See here Apple CarPlay, Android Auto integration, also wireless available. And the Honda menu itself is kept relatively simple, straightforward, big individual buttons. You cannot do so much, but it's also not necessary. We can, for example, take a look at this power flow meter when we drive the car later on. And if you want to go to the home menu, press the button. Wow, I mean, I really love this straightforward user interface. Continued in the lower part, like this one here. And once again, clicking sounds. Audi goes away from that solution. Honda says, hold my Japanese beer. We're going to go for Audi controls here for the climate unit, also for the fan speed. This feels premium. It looks premium. Yeah, and it also listens to as premium. Seat heating, seat cooling, individual controls. That's what I want to have in a car, this straightforward user interface. In lower part, charging USB-A or USB-C. Inductive charging pad is not cooled, however, so it could overheat. The gear selection is a little bit weird, but then again also not too complicated, because like this you put in the, like this you put in reverse, parking, drive, and for neutral is also possible. Yeah, you get along, and then the driving mode selection is here on the right side. So in the sport mode, if you have an adaptive suspension, the suspension would also get a little bit stiffer. The inbuilt hybrid does not offer that. The plug-in hybrid does offer adaptive suspension. But what you get as standard are frequency adaptive dampers. That means it adapts accordingly to the impact the dampers get. And yeah, BMW sells that as adaptive suspension, where it's not actively adaptive. Yeah, but for Honda here it's standard. Actually quite cool. Then this large middle console here with the leatherette covering. Okay, you can move that one a little bit left and right, but still quite fine from the build quality. A lot of space underneath. That's really good. This interior is so versatile and usable. Here the cup holders, see here, they work well for different sizes. They're also somewhat adaptive. So I'm overall very, very happy with the cockpit here so far. Steering wheel moves in and out, up and down. Also very smooth. No resistance, no rattling sound whatsoever. Oh, and that power button here lights in red. Digital instruments are very clear to read. And you can also change the content from the steering wheel, what you want to see here. So here with your right thumb, you control the content, and then you can also activate or deactivate the head-up display. Pretty cool here, these hotkeys at the stalk column. So when I press here on the right with my index finger, directly hops to the camera view, and I can also switch through the different camera views. This is here, for example, then right and left wheel, so you don't damage these alloys. And with my left thumb, I can directly hop here to the blind spot monitor view. So when Michel opens his passenger door, there you see this is the passenger side, always showing the blind spot. Rear seats. First of all, look at that. The rear door opens almost 90 degrees. Great for putting child seats in and out. Then also soft touch here in the rear doors on the inside. Great build quality. Again, you can even get seat heating for that. And then when I'm driving as a tall person here, still have enough legroom. So remember, the wheelbase has been increased a little bit. Here the headroom gets a little bit close here with the panoramic roof. Behind is a little bit better then, so there's still space then. If you want more space, then you would not take the panoramic roof. But overall, the offering of space is good. The rear seats are quite high, so once again, good for children actually. And a decent comfort once again. And I'm really amazed by the interior build quality here by Honda. USB-C charging in the lower part. And then we can fold down this. This has no adaptive cup holders though. And what's also interesting is you cannot fold the seats forward or backward, but the seat folding mechanism is cool. So you take this one, then you can adjust the angle, make it more upright, or put it all the way. This is like a way sleeping position, so very rare that we see that. And then when we fold it down completely for the trunk and so on, here, look at that, how the lower seating area goes flat. That's a good mechanism that the whole area then is flatter than for loading things through. Trunk is about 600 liters each, or 40 cubic feet. And interesting is that the inbuilt hybrid has a little bit less liter volume than the plug-in hybrid. Soon I'm going to tell you why. This is like the cover here. Then about 1 meter or 40 inches in width. That's good. So we have a full luggage setup for you here. Just to show you an example, this is then empty. You have that they use all the height. Here you can see that we have a small step, but it's actually nicely covered. And then we have already 2/3 folded. And the total length into the front seat here is about 185 or 73 inches. So that's actually very good. And for all the dog owners, especially here, 83 centimeters or 32 inches in height. So very well usable. That's again the third reason why people go for it. A lot of luggage space. It's actually simple, not complicated. It fits a lot. Underneath here, by the way, some more space. The inbuilt hybrid has actually the battery here underneath this floor. That's why you lose a little bit of luggage volume underneath. The plug-in hybrid would have the battery in the underfloor centered of the vehicle. That's why then underneath you get a little bit more liters, but the everyday usability is more or less the same. Can I stand underneath here? I can push it a little bit more upward. Then I can also stand underneath. And if you want to secure that position here, it also says hold to set heights. The first manufacturer see to. There we go. And then when you have hold it, then you have saved this position for the next time. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge. Honda CR-V, new generation here with the inbuilt hybrid. Let's go to the sport mode and do some acceleration from 0. Let's see how it turns out. Plop, that's 90. And I wasn't, like screaming at the like the acceleration, but more. I got to secure the key here. It doesn't fly around. I was more screaming at the sound it made. So wow, that's like wow, that is interesting. And here we can directly use this small test track they have here at Honda Germany and see how it performs. So the steering is actually quite good. It doesn't feel most agile, the whole vehicle, let's take it that way. But the wider track here in the new generation definitely helps the vehicle. So I feel it drives better and sportier than before. Leans a little bit into the corner. The suspension is not set on the sportiest note, I would say. But overall, it's actually quite good. This is not the vehicle where you say like driving fun and driving agility is the main focus. It's more about running straight, motorway, and being comfortable. And for that, the suspension is also set on a good note, I would say. But definitely, it feels better to drive than the previous generation. And that's, I think, the main aspect for it. Suspension we will also test as for the Comfort soon on the open road. And we'll also go to the motorway. But here, yeah, definitely. It's not the sportiest, most agile feeling. There, for example, the German competitors would be better as for the sporty driving feeling. But then here with the straightforward user interface, I really love this Honda approach because especially while driving, it's so easy to control the temperature unit here, for example. And that was completely normal back in the days. And now often it's gone. Yeah, so this is something you can really praise then with the Honda CR-V then. Yeah. Now you're maybe hearing that. I'm in the EV driving mode, so when you're driving really slow speeds, easing the car in and out of a parking lot, it usually goes to the EV mode to save some fuel and also be silent in the neighborhood and so on. And in the previous generation, the direct drive, that the combustion engine powers the wheels directly, was only available at motorway speeds. Now it's also available at slower speeds, so we can also have this monitor here, the power flow monitor. And always when there's like there's a small white symbol, where you can see that actually, but it always depends. If you look at that while driving as a driver, you probably get mad because it constantly changes. Because you have the all EV mode, then you have the like this direct drive where the engine directly powers the wheels, and then you have this generator mode where the combustion engine serves as generator, but then the car itself drives electric. And it constantly changes depending on what is actually the best solution for this very moment. But the best thing is probably as a customer not to care about that and just drive the vehicle. Acceleration figures are all around 9 seconds, by the way. The front-wheel drive version is a little bit better, like 9 seconds, 9.5 for the all-wheel drive version. The all-wheel drive here, I also have it in this very vehicle, works in a way front plus rear on demand with a clutch. So it's not like a permanent all-wheel drive or something. There's always something active, in a way, but not like this fixed setup. So rear then just on demand. Here, look at that. When I turn right, this blind spot view is automatically activated here. Right, set turning indicator. This is actually a cool system. And the same also happens. So left, I rather look myself, but here when I use my left index finger, then I can also activate it and have here the blind spot view to the right. So this is a very cool system. We know it from Hyundai and Kia, Genesis, but they have it then in the instruments. It's also a good solution here then in the screen. I think this, tech going forward, definitely, why not? So here when I'm turning right, once again it's activated. I mean, I do see it in the mirror in a way, and there's also the blind spot monitor in the mirror. That maybe takes an effect on the motorway, but here is definitely a nice additional safety feature. I mean, what you heard during the acceleration was that the engine was really, really loud. That's because Honda is not using like a classic converter automatic gearbox, so you always have like this effect. But once again, that performance itself is also not the focus of this vehicle. Then let's get on the motorway, still in the sport mode. Let's see one more acceleration on the motorway from 50. Let's go. 100. 120. 130. Wow. I mean, it's okay. I mean, this is actually sufficient. And the engine sounds like a sports car, doesn't it? Yeah, that's really cool. Here now at higher speeds, 130 kilometers an hour, so like 80 miles an hour. It is actually quite loud as for the wind noise, so that's not the best, I would say. So it could be more silent at higher speeds. Of course, in most countries you won't have really high motorway speeds, but 130 is definitely a speed where it should be more silent. Here now, there we see the small symbol here. And when we see that small symbol here, that means that this direct drive is active. So at the moment I'm keeping constant speed, and now the combustion engine is directly powering the wheels. When I go off the throttle, there it disappears, and then I have recuperation, so I get energy back to the battery. And then when I'm on the throttle, then the direct drive is activated once again. When I'm accelerating harder, let's see, then it disappears, because then when I'm in hard acceleration, the electric motor is active and the combustion engine serves as generator. Yeah, it is in a way complicated, but also you could say it's a great idea in a way to fit the drivetrain in a way that it's always most efficient in every situation. But of course is the question at the end of the day, does it really mean that we have less consumption? We've been testing the system before, and I have to say it's not a game changer as for the fuel economy. Yeah, so maybe it's nicely thought out, but that it's really super effective. I would also wish for a base petrol engine for the European, for the German market. I think they would serve the customer better by that way. And then also, for example, offer the plug-in hybrid drivetrain that you can then have taxation benefits if you need that. Yes, to me it's a little bit too loud on the motorway, but as for the chassis, suspension, so on, it's nice. It doesn't shake up too much. At the same time, it drives very well. Suspension, I feel, is very comfortable also with 18-inch wheels. And the steering is awesome. It's really crisp and direct. At the same time, I do not need too much force. I think exactly the right setup here for the steering. And that has always been the case with Honda. You may remember like Civic, or especially Civic Type R. It's really a lot of fun to steer these vehicles around. Just as the CR-V does not have like this agile cornering focus. We've shown that to you initially, that this is not like the special thing this car can do also, But overall, driving-wise, I'm really happy. Yes, it doesn't offer the most driving fun, but at the same time, steering is crisp and good comfort, riding straight and enjoying family also in the rear, everything comfortable. Yeah, as long as you don't drive too fast or that you don't have like too much wind noise and so on. But overall, I think in this very segment here, quite solid performance. The Toyota RAV4, by the way, is also quite loud at higher speeds. So that's a thing where the Germans are a little bit better as for noise insulation. And Lexus, of course, if you compare Toyota and Lexus, it's mostly the difference that Lexus always has better noise insulation at higher speeds. So just to give you like some competitor insight as well.
Well, the last reason why the Honda CR-V works that well internationally is the low price. So you get it in the North American market for around $30,000 and it offers so much for the price. So the price performance is excellent. And also Honda usually scores quite good reliability rankings. Then again, that's the one thing I criticize today, is in Europe, they go more for this high trim strategy now. So in Germany, it starts at 49,000 euros as the inbuilt hybrid and even more, around 60,000 euros for the plug-in hybrid. Always high trim on the inside, no fabric seats, always animal skin share and so on. So I think that's not the right approach to take it, because I love this vehicle. Design-wise, the space on the interior, here this new generation, such a great build quality on the inside. It's actually a premium build quality inside. I love that. But then again, it also has to be competitive price-wise, and that works in the North American market, but it's really critical if it works in the European market. Yeah, that's I think the only catch for the day. Other than that, it is really, to me, one of the best SUVs in this very segment.
So which one would you actually take from these SUVs? As for me, well, let's take a detailed look. First of all, Tiguan, Tayron, Kodiaq, Terramar, they are all on the same platform. More or less on technology side, the same vehicles. The Tayron and the Kodiaq are the big ones that also offer up to 7 seats, and the Tiguan and Terramar are, so to speak, the smaller ones. The Tayron, of course, very, very similar to the Tiguan, so to speak. It is a Tiguan Allspace, the successor of this model indeed. And so the Tayron and the Kodiaq can directly be compared, and also size-wise. I feel that the Skoda Kodiaq has the best user interface, because there, for example, you can still directly manually control the climate unit. So the interior, to me, most flexible and most clever, and also most intuitive with the Skoda Kodiaq of all these siblings. The Cupra Formentor feels a little bit less premium than the other ones, a little bit smaller, a little bit older platform and so on. This one is usually taken when there are very good leasing offers. The Hyundai Tucson is very successful also on the European market. Even in Germany, second most selling SUV in that very size, just behind the Tiguan, and because it's a very good all-rounder and does nothing wrong actually. I mean, it's not super exciting, but it is just ticking the boxes in all the different categories. The Ford Kuga does something similar indeed. The Hyundai Tucson, however, has a somewhat more modern approach than the Ford Kuga in some aspects. The Nissan Qashqai, to me, is, so to speak, on the one hand maybe an underdog in this comparison, however also very good in the sales, has always been in the recent years, and the reason for that is especially the price-performance ratio. The Nissan Qashqai is also scoring everything very well in all different aspects, and is actually the most affordable one in this very comparison. At the same time, if you look at the reliability standings, it's also doing a fairly good job there. The Honda CR-V, you really have to differentiate between the markets. You can still get affordable versions, for example, on the US market, but the European versions are all very high spec, and they are price-wise not that very competitive. So my price performance overall winner for today, if you take account the pricing, the reliability, and also the user interface and so on, and how the car performs, is actually the Nissan Qashqai. So then overall, if you take the price into account, And then the overall winner as for if money plays no role and you want the best driving comfort and so on, then I would take the Skoda Kodiaq as the overall winner. And yeah, maybe if you especially go for a new lease or something like that, and if you don't have to look if it's maybe like 50 euros more or less in the leasing way. And sometimes the Skoda leasing offers, of course, are also pretty good. So the Skoda Kodiaq and the Nissan Qashqai, then depending on the use case, my favorites here for today. Which one are yours? And we also have more of the interesting competitors still to come in a different review episode that you can tune into right now.